Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome to the latest edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, along with Dustin Fox and Mikey McNuggets. I'm Adam the Bull. We've got Anthony and Steve on the other side of the glass, and plenty to get to today, even though we're smack dab in the middle of the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Dustin back from honeymoon. I said, are you happy to be back from vacation? He goes, I'm going on vacation tomorrow. You're gallivanting all over the place.
Every day's a vacation. No, in fact, today we are leaving for Boston, driving to Boston, taking the dog, taking the kids, doing the whole, family truckster, loading her up.
Yeah.
Holiday road.
All right, back from one. Great trip.
By the way,
Let
me just say this about the vacation we just went on, which was the honeymoon. We did a cruise.
Yeah.
From New York City, the cruise.
Yeah.
The coolest thing. And it was so, honestly.
I mean, leaving from New York?
Because most people, when you go on a cruise, most cruise ships go out of Florida, like Fort Lauderdale or Tampa or Miami or what have you. And it's a pain in the ass because there's so many people, there's so many boats, and it's a lot going on. Whereas New York, there's only I think there's like 2 ports or whatever. There's like 2 boats there at the point.
Yeah.
So it's super easy to get on. It was beautiful. You go out to sea, you go right past the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like under the Brooklyn Bridge, like the whole. It's just an awesome trip. And Bermuda, by the way, was amazing. Never been. I was scared because of the Bermuda Triangle stuff.
Didn't you call the Bermuda Bowl?
Bahamas.
The Bahamas,
Bermuda, they're different.
They are different.
They're not even close to each other.
Right.
No.
Do you know where Bermuda is?
No idea.
It's in the triangle.
Smack dab in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's literally like parallel with North Carolina.
Yeah, it's just east.
Straight east from there.
In the middle of the freaking ocean, dude. I mean, it is very, very far from the Bahamas. The point being, I'm going to show you real fast. So Bermuda is right out there in the middle of
Oh, okay. It's not even that far off the coast.
Yeah. So the Bahamas are down here.
Yeah,
it's
much further
out
south,
there.
Bahamas.
It actually gets cold there, like in the wintertime.
Okay.
It's like
I didn't know that.
Very cool place.
you sent me. I know you sent me some pictures of these caves that were pretty amazing.
So it was incredible that these caves were discovered like 100-something years ago, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And these 2 boys, 13-year-old boys, found like a hole in their backyard, and they're just messing around. And they get a rope and they rappel down. They fall down 100 feet into this cave.
Oh my God!
Jeez,
crazy, right?
That's wild.
And they somehow get out and they come back and explore. Anyway, these caves are a super big moneymaker, and it's unbelievable. You go way down, and the water it's pure. It's really
Looks
cool.
amazing.
It's really
so
cool.
you just got back from Bermuda. You're going to Boston. Mike leaves tomorrow for to Italy.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous of you, dude. Are you jealous of him too?
100%.
Because you love some Italian food.
I would love to.
Well, you said you're going next year.
I think sometime in the next year or two we're going to finally go to Italy. But yes, I'm very jealous. You're going to southern Italy.
Yeah,
I believe.
Naples, Sorrento, and then some of the islands.
And Naples is supposedly the best food of all of Italy. That's what I've been told by my in-laws who have been to Italy many times. Sure. You haven't been to Italy, have you?
I've not. I've never been to Europe, in fact.
Why did I think you'd been to Ireland? I
have not.
made that up, or Scotland or something.
Well, now there's direct flights from Cleveland to Ireland.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying that's like a really nice trip.
I did have a question for you guys real quick.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I am headed to Italy, so I'll be off all next week. I'll be back after for training camp, so I'll be back.
Are you here tomorrow or no?
I'm working tomorrow, but I'm be upstairs. They're gonna produce Earl's out on the panel. Packing for a trip where I'm going with my family, by the way. We got a wedding out there. My sister's best friend's married.
Family meaning like who's in the family going on the trip?
Me, my brother, my sister, my parents.
Okay.
Like legit, just a family, just an immediate family
Sweet.
trip. My sister, who lives in Munich, her best friend is getting married to a guy who's from Naples, and he jokingly invited us to the wedding last year, and we were like, "Don't you dare jokingly
Is this
invite."
like a drunken invite?
No, he was
sort of.
I mean,
sort of.
I don't know. We don't know if he was serious or half joking about it, but he did genuinely give us an invite. and we RSVP the next day.
By the way, I've done that many times where especially back in my drinking days, where I would invite people to things, and then you'd hope that they didn't think it was serious.
Right.
But there's been times where they've actually showed up.
So now, when we've talked to them, and they're like very excited. We're going to it's all good. But we are all going as a family. Then we're turning the wedding's Saturday. Then we're going to spend the next week just hanging out.
Your girlfriend is not going.
She is not going.
Is she annoyed?
Annoyed, but she couldn't get the PTO to make it all line up. So there were some reasons. We're going to do a little trip later in the year, me and her.
One more thing after you're done with your story.
I had a packing question, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So we're going it's 8 days, but because it's 5 of us and we're renting a little car in Italy, like no one's bringing a full suitcase. It is just a carry-on.
For 8 days?
There's laundry at the third place we're going to on day 6.
Laundry on vacation sucks.
But there's no, genuinely not space for all of us to bring.
Yeah, I hear you.
How many pairs of underwear am I supposed to bring?
One per day.
Underwear doesn't take up much space.
But I always say one per day, but honestly, guys, I mean, this may sound gross. I usually wear them a couple days in a row.
Yeah, I can't do that.
But I wear Lululemons or
the nicer ones.
They're sweat wicking.
I wear nice ones too, but you get sweaty, you get gross, especially
and it's supposed to be hot
in the winter maybe, but in the summer.
We'll be on the beach for some days, so maybe I could.
But if you're doing laundry, then just bring 4, and then you'll do laundry and do 4 more. Or
the other thing too, if it's going to be beach day and stuff, swim trunks you can live in.
Yeah.
You don't have to have underpants with swim trunks.
Yeah.
I
was thinking of going 8 to be safe. Because they're not big.
That's plenty, dude.
Yeah,
I'd say 12.
No way.
But if you're going to do laundry, then
I'm an overpacker. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys. Because maybe 8 is too much.
I'm the guy to talk to because I literally packed too much shit for this cruise. Mm-hmm. There was like a whole suitcase I didn't touch.
And I don't have.
Yeah, I don't overpack. I don't like doing laundry on vacation. So if I can avoid it, then I'll. There's
no way to avoid.
But I would say, if you're to avoid doing a lot of laundry, bring 8.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to need more than 8 because you probably want to, shake it. And then socks, you got to bring a lot of socks too.
Did I bring enough shoes on my trip?
Oh my God.
That would be more than just my carry-on by itself. If I put
how many shoes?
I'll show you. So this.
Well, part of the problem too is, that's insanity.
Dustin,
1,
show
2,
the camera.
3. That's like 6 pairs of shoes.
This was my.
Or 7.
You see it?
That's crazy.
Is that too many?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever taken more than 1 pair of shoes besides the pair I'm wearing.
I'm taking 3
on
pairs.
a vacation.
I think I had 7.
I got 1 for the wedding.
Yeah. Well, you're going to a fancy wedding.
Which, by the way,
not fancy,
packing a suit in a.
Yeah, that's
There's not a lot of space.
Why don't you guys just rent 2 cars?
Because only one of us is licensed.
What do you mean only one of you's licensed?
My sister is. Don't you have to have a. I don't know. Listen.
Steve is saying you can drive.
You can drive? Maybe we'll end up getting 2
What do you think? You have to have a European driver's license?
I did think that, honestly.
No.
I did. When we were in Germany,
I guess I don't know that for sure.
My sister was the only one that drove
sense.
when we were in Germany. She wouldn't let us drive.
Let me tell you something. I do not want to drive on the left side of the road.
I don't think Italy's on the left side of the road. I think Italy's on the right side.
I think it's just England that they do that.
No, I think Italy's on the left side.
No, I think you guys are wrong.
No,
I think it's
Italy's
only
the normal
England.
Somebody
that does
hit an AI or a chat.
I believe it's only England and maybe a couple of Asian countries. I don't think most of Europe does that.
Oh, I was right. Yeah, Italy drives like us.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
My bad.
Yeah.
So
Bermuda's a British territory.
So they're on the left side.
Yeah.
Nassau in the Bahamas was like that.
I think. It's not. No. So why don't you should rent a second car?
I don't know.
You're 5 adults in a small car.
Listen, this part was not the part I planned.
All right.
I had my stuff that I planned.
They're all stick shift cars too, I think.
Oh yeah, that's the other part.
Can you drive stick?
Not well.
I haven't driven
drive very
stick.
well.
Yeah.
I first learned how to drive on stick.
I did too, but my last 3 cars have been.
I haven't driven a car with a stick in 30-something years.
It's like riding a bike, dude.
Yeah.
I learned how to really drive a stick.
I got a job one summer when I was 18 or 19. I was probably 19, parking cars. And so at the time, I had no idea how to drive a stick.
You have to learn quick.
And in those days, there were a lot of cars that had stick.
Most.
And so my cousin, he had like a Mustang or he had like a fancy car. And I was like, you got to teach me how to
drive it.
To drive this. So he spent like 2 whole days just teaching me, and I was okay.
I learned on stick, but I just haven't touched a car with stick shift in a decade.
Yeah. I mean, what's a stick now at this point here?
Most cars come with paddle shifters, even exotic
That's what my
cars.
car has.
Yeah.
Paddle shifters?
I don't have low gear. I have to switch it to manual.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. So in Italy, most of the cars have stick?
I think all
All of them?
A lot of Europe in general is
I wonder
still.
why
In
that
Germany,
is.
the car. Now that makes sense why my sister wouldn't let us drive.
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
Better gas mileage?
I don't know.
I have no-
I don't know.
I'll find out when I come back.
You do.
All right.
It'll be
well,
Brown's training
anyway,
camp, and I'll have the answer
The
to that
point is,
question.
first of all, I could never passively sit by while somebody else makes a plan for me. I could never do that.
My
but
sister's her job is to event plan.
Okay,
So
so
this was very much.
Yeah.
She took the lead.
Are you like sharing a room with your brother?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess you don't. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I will say this: if you've ever done the vacuum seal packing stuff, have you done that?
Yeah, and I have.
I'll save some.
Game changer,
Yeah,
big
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Just a suit, vacuum packing a suit.
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna make it work.
We could talk vacations all day long.
I wanted to give you some
guys-
credit.
For
First,
what?
Bull
Yeah.
is never wrong.
Thank you. That's true.
About food for sure. So I was in New York City, and I said to Bull, I said, I need a couple spots, blah, blah, blah. You hit me with plenty of good spots. One spot you'd never been to.
I hadn't, but
it must be someone you trust. Told you to go.
100%. I got my like two other buddies of mine that we always like the same places.
So Bull sent me this place. Was it Joe and Pat's?
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Italian?
Yeah.
Italian spot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pizza. We got the whole deal, and it was amazing. Did you report back to your guy?
I did. He said, trust me, it's going to be amazing.
It was.
I don't know how I haven't been there yet.
The
but
vibe was cool too.
Where is
Actually,
it?
it was surprising. It was a very younger crowd.
Yeah.
Like I felt like it was mostly like probably people in their mid-20s.
It was in Manhattan, not Brooklyn, right? Or I don't remember now.
It was Manhattan.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I was in Midtown, so it was a little bit. What's north of that area? Is that
I
more
guess
like?
it depends how
Anyway, it
far
doesn't
north
matter.
you went.
Anyway, so
Was it in the 90s?
no,
Okay, so
it was
was
lower.
was it the west side or the east side?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know.
The upper west side or the upper east?
I'm blown away by the fact that New York is such a small area, but it takes you
Forever to
40
get
minutes to get
anywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's crazy. New York is great and horrible at the same time. There's a lot of great things about it
Screaming
that you
from the
can't get
rooftops.
anywhere else, and there's a lot of horrible things about it.
Yeah.
It's a real mixed bag. All right, Anthony, let's talk some sports here.
Yeah, I was gonna say while you guys are traveling the world, I'm spending my vacation in sunny Mansfield, Ohio next weekend.
Snow trails.
Yeah, before we get into everything though, guys, I want to remind you about FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet up to $5 right now and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. If you open the FanDuel app today, visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started.
All right, let's get started speaking about the Guardians. So
What a game!
The Guardians have ended their 10-game losing streak. Well, they ended it 2 days ago, obviously with a nice win, and then yesterday, the craziest game, and that's why sometimes baseball, you can know as much as you know. By the way, people were unearthing tweets of mine yesterday from 10 years ago. Did you see that?
I wanted to address that at the end of the Guardians discussion because I don't want to derail what was an incredible win for Cleveland to get into a terrible take you had.
Yeah, I think it's taken out of context what I said, but whatever.
Save it for
fine.
the end of this discussion.
I mean, how much of a loser do you have to be to go back and search for a text I put out 10 years ago? But anyway, so the Guardians were facing Hunter Brown. For those who don't know, Hunter Brown since last August has been probably the second best pitcher in baseball behind Tarek Skubal.
I'll give you a stat on this real quick because I heard Tom Hamilton say it last night.
Yeah.
Hunter Brown gave up 4 runs the entire month of June.
Yeah.
The entire month. He had not given up more than 5 runs in any start this entire season.
Yeah.
And last night, the 4A Guardians lineup put up 6 on him. 4 runs in June, 5 was his most all season, and the Guardians offense, who have been shut out 5 of their previous 11 games, put up 6, which goes to show, to Bull's point earlier, baseball's so unpredictable.
It is. And the last 2 days, the Guardians have scored a ton of runs, and then yesterday they get this big lead, huge lead. They knock Hunter Brown out of the game. Joey Cantillo doesn't go particularly deep in the game. He was okay. And slowly the Astros creep back into the game. I think when it was 6-3, I texted our group chat and I said, they're going to blow this freaking game. And sure enough, the Astros tie it in the bottom of the 8th. They scored 2 runs off of Gaddis.
Yeah.
Gaddis was terrible, and Cade Smith was terrible the other day, although he got out of a jam in the 7th that he created with a couple of walks. But anyway, it's 6-6. Neither team scores. The Guardians don't score in the top of the 9th. I'm like, oh, the Astros are going to win this game in the bottom of the 9th, but they do not, of course, which was great. Then in the top of the 10th, they load the bases with 1 out against Hader, who's obviously, first you smacked around Brown, who's one of the best pitchers. Now you load the bases with 1 out against Hader, who's one of the best closers. And then I can't remember who was up before Martinez, who struck out.
Well, it was Schneemann, and they pinch hit for Jonathan Rodriguez, which I wanted to ask you about. I know it's a lefty-righty switch, so you get the right-handed hitter against the left-handed Hader. But Schneemann had 2 RBIs in the game already, and I've just seen enough from Jonathan Rodriguez.
How can I put this? I didn't love it, but I'm not going to kill him.
I'm just saying.
Schneemann's been. I know he got a couple RBIs last night. For the most part, he's been pretty horrible lately. And the truth is that Hader's really hard to hit, and so you want that.
Okay.
You want that batting advantage of the right versus left, but nonetheless, he strikes out, and it brings up Angel Martinez, who obviously hasn't been particularly good. And off the bat, I didn't think he got it that well.
I didn't either. I thought the way that whoever the outfielder was coming under the ball, it looked like it was going to be way short, and then it was
Myers,
like, oh,
maybe? No,
it doesn't matter.
I can't remember.
Point is that left field porch is like, it's up there.
It wasn't I saw, StatCast from the show. That'd be a home run.
It would have only been a home run in that park, right?
It was 2 parks. I forget which was the other one. But, yeah, it was not a home run in most Major League ballparks, but it was a home run.
But who cares? It doesn't matter.
And that's all that matters because it was a grand slam in the top of the 10th to give the Guardians a 10-6 win.
He was surprised.
Yeah. He was. You could tell.
He was like, holy hell, I just really
because
did
guys
that.
have a feel when they hit the ball if they've got it or not.
It was like a mishit for him.
Yeah, but it went out, and it was great. It was a great win. It's hard to get too excited because they're so far out of things right now, and I've been killing them for months or for the last 2 months. I'm not going to change my mind. 2 good wins, and they were good wins, are not going to make me say the Guardians are back, baby. I mean, there's still 6 games over 500. They're 5.5
under 500.
Under 500.
You said over.
Oh, 6 games under 500. They're 5.5 games out of the wild card. You don't even have every team listed there, right?
No, there are more.
They're
teams
behind
between,
like 7, 8 teams.
Yes.
So I haven't changed my mind that they're not going to make the playoffs, but it was nice to see them win a couple of games. I don't think it's going to change their plan of what they're going to do here at the trade deadline. You got 1 more game with Houston tonight. Then you go play the White Sox starting tomorrow. I think it's a 4-game series, isn't it? Is that a 4-game series?
I'll check 1 second.
Yeah, it is. 10 to the 13th.
So what happens if they beat Houston tonight and then sweep Chicago? It's a 7-game win streak heading into the All-Star break. Does that not change your overall outlook on this team?
No, it won't. I mean, it might change their perspective on what they might consider doing. But in the end, unless they get blown away with an offer right now, they're probably not going to do anything of significance till the end of July, right? So they have time, if they go on some good hot streak here, to change their mind or change what they're going to do. Ultimately, no matter how they play for the next week, they still need to move on from Santana, Lane Thomas. The guys that are going to be free agents, you move on from them, A, because it gives opportunities to other young players who have to get opportunities. And B, those guys are not good enough anyway that even if you traded them, it's going to make much of a difference in a negative way. And C, 1 week of a good winning streak can't change the fact that, and I think if they're down deep, if they're honest with themselves in the front office, they know this team's not good enough.
Yeah.
And 1 hot streak, the Minnesota Twins, remember? They had like a 10, 11-game winning streak a month ago, 6 weeks ago, whatever it is. And what have they done? They did nothing before, they did nothing after. The Twins are, 45 and 48. Outside of that 1 winning streak,
they're
terrible. 32 or 33 and 34 and 48.
Closer to Chicago than to Cleveland.
So 1 good stretch. And again, you never know. There are teams, the Guardians were 40 and 48. So there are teams, and look at the Tigers last year. They were out of it. They sold, and then they made a great run at the end of the year. Anything's possible. I'm not saying there's a 0% chance that the Guardians can make a run, but it's probably like 3%, and I'm not banking on that.
Let me ask you this. Earlier in the season, and I don't remember how into the season we were, but earlier this year,
the
Guardians had lost a couple in a row, and then they had a weird, wonky, funky win against Kansas City. And you were like, if this sparks the comeback, we're going to look back at this moment.
We won't.
I'm just, and I know that
if they have the great turnaround.
But if we have a great turnaround, is this the game we're going to look back at and say?
If they make a turnaround and somehow make the playoffs, we'll look back to this series. Absolutely. Between the first, just the end of the 10-game winning streak, the Astros had been one of, if not the hottest team in baseball coming into the series. They'd been playing great. And then they beat them on Monday, Monday. Right? My days are all confused now. Monday. Today's Wednesday. And then to beat Hunter Brown the way they did and Hader. I mean, to score 10 runs off those two guys.
Pretty damn good.
Is pretty amazing, especially for an offense that has been the most inept in all of baseball for the past 2 months.
I wanted to ask about Cantillo. What's his he's been up and down, AAA, starter, reliever, finding his way into the rotation.
Yeah. What's
his ceiling?
I don't think it's that high. I think best case scenario with Cantillo is, solid mid-rotation starter. I shouldn't even say it's not that high. I actually like him better than Logan Allen. That's a minority opinion. I'm sure there's a lot of people think I'm crazy. So I shouldn't say it's low. I like his ability to strike guys out. You see that 41 Ks in 31 innings. But the walks are way too high. I mean, 17 Ks in 31 2/3 is awful, and that's why he gets himself into trouble. The walks are a problem, but he's never, as you said, he hasn't had a consistent role in the big leagues. I would like to see him get a chance to start every day. He may here. In fact, he probably will. Because they
took Ortiz's spot and started.
Right,
2 games in a row.
Until Bieber comes back.
Who else they got?
And we don't even know if Bieber's going to come back. A, because of the injury. B, because he could possibly get traded. There's nobody else. So I'd like to see them give Cantillo. I think ultimately his ceiling is a number 3 starter, which is fine. It's good. That's good. You need number 3 starter. I think he's got some interesting stuff. He doesn't have the full repertoire that Bybee or certainly Bieber and Gavin Williams have. He's not as good as those guys. So I wouldn't say he can reach that level. But beyond that, I think he could be better than Allen. I think he could be as good or even better than Ciccone, although I think Ciccone has a lot of potential too. They've got a lot of potential in their rotation. There's nobody else, though. I mean, outside of what they got. In the minor leagues, they don't have much, certainly not at the high minors. The problem, obviously, remains the offense, but not the last 2 days. All right, let's leave that there. Cool. Let's move it. Let's keep it moving. Anthony.
Yeah, guys, we got some Browns coming up next after I remind you about Epicor. Today's episode is brought to you by them, and every team knows the value of hard work, taking pride in what you build, and in practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes the win easier. At Epicor, the all-stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. You can see your whole supply chain, manage your logistics easier, and respond to pricing change easier. Because the clock doesn't tick down and you need the most out of every hardworking minute, Easier doesn't cut corners, Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com.
All right, let's switch it up. We'll get to our next topic here, and that is are we doing the quarterbacks here?
No, we're doing Mason Graham here.
Oh, Mason Graham. Okay, so ESPN ranked their top 10 defensive tackles in the NFL. No Browns, of course, on the list. No surprise there. But Mike, why don't you set this up? Because this got you going with some stuff here.
Yeah, so ESPN's doing its annual summer series of top 10 position groups. Today they did defensive ends. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Yesterday was defensive tackles. And Mason Graham's a guy who was selected 5th overall. He was the centerpiece of what the Browns got back in the immediacy of that trade with Jacksonville that allowed Jacksonville to get Travis Hunter. They also got that first-round pick, which may be the centerpiece down the road. But for right now, it's Mason Graham. And we said the other day, for a top 5 pick, we haven't spent a ton of time talking about Mason Graham, and maybe a little bit of a disservice. So I went through and looked at that top 10 defensive tackle list from ESPN and tried to figure out the backgrounds for the majority of those top 10 guys to see if we could find a common trend and see if that kind of is going to set the bar of expectations for Mason Graham, not just necessarily in his rookie season, but over his entire career with, we hope, the Cleveland Browns. So, and if you want to pull up the top 10 list,
go ahead, Anthony.
We'll run through the top 10 and look at where a lot of these guys were drafted and the backgrounds of these. But the top 10 defensive tackles voted on by NFL executives, personnel, scouts. These are all, it's an ESPN survey of NFL people. Went like this. Dexter Lawrence of the Giants, number 1. Chris Jones, number 2. Chris Jones was number 1 last year. He swapped spots with Dexter Lawrence. You had Jalen Carter at 3. Jeffrey Simmons at number 4. Quinnen Williams at number 5. Going 6 through 10 here. You had Leonard Williams, Nnamdi Madubuike of the Baltimore Ravens, DeForest Buckner, Vita Vea, and Cam Hayward. So that's your top 10. So I dug a little deeper and looked at some of the draft positions and some of the backgrounds here of those top 10. And of the top 10 defensive tackles, 8 of them were first-round picks, guys. Chris Jones was a second-round pick. Madubuike was a third-round pick. Of those 8 first-round picks, 7 were top 20, 4 were top 10, and Quinnen Williams was the lone defensive tackle taken in the top 5 of the 4 that were taken in the top 10. So to me, before I open this up to you guys to give your 2 cents, there just aren't that many guys built at that size with that coordination and that athleticism. And when you get that combination in a prospect, they oftentimes go quite high because they're such a rare breed. And because of that combination of size, skill, athleticism, coordination, and talent, typically they have translated. Not all. There have been first-round defensive tackles that have absolutely missed. There's been quite a few in Cleveland. But Dustin, 8 of those 10 were first-round picks. 4 of them were top 10 picks. And to me, that says Mason Graham better turn out to be a pretty damn good player.
Yeah, I think that the expectations are there for him to become like a top 10 player at the position. I don't think there's any reason why he can't become that good of a player. I mean, a very talented guy. He played a lot of college football at Michigan. You know, a 2-time All-American. Just doesn't happen very often. And, you know, he plays a position that's not that sexy. And so the numbers don't really jump out at you a ton. And, like, you don't see a ton of sacks from defensive tackles. For the most part. I mean, obviously, like Hendrickson is he considered?
No, he's an end.
He's an end. Yeah, I mean,
but Chris Jones is the number 1 guy.
Yeah, but a lot of those guys that are on that top 10 list get sacks.
No, you do, but you don't have 15.
No, sure.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see how we, judge this guy. Does he open things up for Myles Garrett? Does he make things easier for Schwartz defensively to game plan for? I think it will. The other thing about it is no one's really going to be watching him. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to be up this guy's, oh my God, every single snap this guy is going to be critiqued. It's not going to be like that. He's not playing quarterback.
Right.
He's playing a position that when he makes a big play, we're going to know about it. Yep. We're going to talk about it. If he doesn't make a great play, it's probably not going to get noticed.
Yeah, I mean, the expectation is for him to be an all-pro.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I mean, if you drafted in the top 5, the goal's all-pro at the very least.
The previous 4 defensive tackles in the last 20 years that were drafted top 5 before Mason Graham have all made at least 1 All-Pro in their career. At least 1. More than 3 of the 4 have made multiple.
Right, you should. Right, that should be the goal, to be a multiple-time All-Pro. Otherwise, it wasn't a good pick. This is not just the first round. This is the top 5 of the draft. And they traded down, and could have taken somebody else. But you're right. I mean, it's not like he's gonna be the talk of the town one way or the other, because he's not going to get a lot of sacks, certainly not as a rookie, and there's a lot of plays where a defensive tackle can have a good rep and nothing happens statistically.
They just absorb 2 blocks to allow Myles to go one-on-one, or they clog the hole and force the running back to bounce into another hole into the arms of a tackler.
And we don't talk about those type of things when we're having a casual conversation about football. It's something that after a number of years, you just see the guy pop up on the Pro Bowl and the All-Pro every list, and then you're like, oh, I guess this guy's a good defensive tackle. I didn't know, especially if it's a guy that is not on a team that you watch at all. So you probably, there's probably really good defensive tackles that most fans don't even know their names.
And pull up the list again.
Yeah.
Because I want to go through. I think it's a good point you make, Bull. But when you look at the list in particular, Dexter Lawrence, if you watch a Giants game, go back to when they played the Browns this year.
Yeah.
It's in the backfield all the time.
Yeah.
Chris Jones in the backfield all the time. He's a guy that you do see.
No, not that one.
Not that one, the top 10
The
defensive
last
tackles
list
this year. Number 3 was – who was 3 on the list? But then you have guys like Vita Vea, who was at number 9.
Here we go. Dexter Lawrence, Chris Jones, Jalen Carter, Jeffrey Simmons. These guys are all big-time impact players.
And the next one –
but like that second group, some of those guys.
Leonard Williams, more of a run-stuffing defensive tackle. Vita Vea
same thing.
Doesn't get a ton of sacks, but he's an incredibly valuable player. Matabike had that one season with a bunch of sacks.
Yeah.
DeForest Buckner kind of does both. And Cam Hayward, I mean, he's putting up
Cam
good
Hayward
numbers.
doesn't put up huge sack numbers, but like
his presence
we
is
know
felt.
As Browns fans that he's a great player, like maybe a Hall of Famer. And so, I mean, it's probably, along with the offensive line, the least sexy position in all of football. It's a position that you knock. If a guy's not on your team, there's a good chance you might not ever heard of him. And so, there's some guys, like if you would have told me, I don't know, bring up that 6 through 10 again if you could, Anthony.
By the way, the 2 guys that fell out of the list this year were Derek Brown, who was hurt all of last season, and Christian Wilkins, who signed with the Raiders.
Yeah, like if you would have mentioned Christian Wilkins or Matabike to me, I'd be like, I wouldn't have known for sure they were top 10 level defensive tackles.
Agreed.
Right? No. I mean, how would you, most people don't know that. So I would have thought Cam Hayward was higher on the list. I mean, this is just one opinion here, but.
It was a survey.
Oh, based on, who did this?
So
the players voted?
No, they asked like 30 NFL coaches, executives, scouts,
okay.
and then they composite.
Okay. Yeah, so.
Hayward's old, though. I mean. He was higher on the list. He's slowly working his way down. He's still a very good player.
So obviously it's a credible list because it's people that know the game. Yep. So, I mean, I do think it's interesting, and it's a thing where like Mason Graham, I feel like it's one of those positions like offensive line that unless you make unless it's the rare case where you make a big sack impact, which is very rare for defensive tackles. That you really, even if you're good, you probably don't get much recognition until at least 3, 4, 5 years into your career. Because it's like we're used to giving the nod to these other guys. Well, they're still really good at this position. And then all of a sudden you're like, this guy, nobody can run on the Browns all of a sudden. Why is that? Oh, it's Mason Graham, I
feel like it's a position if you don't have guys there, though. Like, you may not notice them when they make good plays that are subtle.
Yeah.
But if they are terrible, like in 2022 when we had G. Bush sitting in the middle chair screaming, Taven Bryan.
Right, no, sure.
And if they don't exist, then it's completely evident to even the most unknowledgeable football fan.
That's only for your team.
No. I know, but I'm saying the position in general, if you aren't talented at that position, you get run on time after time to where it's like, oh my God. But when they are competent and even hopefully better than just competent, you don't, to your point, they don't make the splash plays every drive. They just don't get run on to where you're constantly in 2nd and 2s.
But also, if you have like one defensive tackle who's solid, like he's just a good player, nothing special, whatever, and the other guy sucks, well, you might get run on, and everybody think, well, both those guys suck. But no, this other guy is solid, but the guy he's working with, he stinks, so it makes him look bad. Like, can you name the Bengals defensive tackles?
No. DJ Reader.
And that was 2 years ago. He used to be. He left and they sucked.
Sheldon Rankins.
They did pick him up last year, but he was hurt a lot of the year. Good job out of you. And that's it, right? B.J. Hill used to be on the Giants.
B.J. Hill, yeah.
Right?
I would have got that.
DJ Reader is a perfect example of a guy. He never had a lot of sacks.
No.
But everybody knew. And look what happened. The Bengals went from their run defense being, decent to last year where they were like all-time bad.
All-time bad, yeah.
What'd they lose? They lost a couple guys, but Reader was the biggest loss on that defensive line.
Did you ever play with a freak defensive tackle? Like just a freak athlete at that DT position?
I got to think. Like freak athlete?
Or not even necessarily from a freak athlete standpoint, but a guy that when he was in versus when he was out, you knew the entire play was different.
I mean, Kyle Williams in Buffalo was that way. I mean, he was an awesome player. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else.
Or even in college.
Was Pat Williams there when you were in Buffalo, too? Is it the Williams brothers?
Pat Williams was in Buffalo. He was end of his career.
End of his career, though, yeah.
Dude, he had the biggest belly I've ever seen in my life.
I used to love playing with him in Madden.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's like him and Vince Wilfork, big old bellies, dude. College, I mean, great players. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there was anybody that was like
a game changer is the better way to put it.
You guys put me on the spot.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
let me think about that.
Yeah.
One other thing on Mason Graham, we can move on. If there was any situation for a rookie defensive tackle to come into that I think he could have early success, it's with Jim Schwartz as his defensive coordinator, who, if you look at that top 10 list, has his fingerprints all over it. And 2, playing alongside Myles Garrett has to help. Like, I know it hasn't helped some of the lesser talented guys they've had at that position in the past, but it has to make your job as a defensive tackle so much easier when you know on the outside, I got a guy that's either taking up the second pass blocker, or if they're going to try and block him one-on-one, then all I got to do is make sure my guy doesn't shift over and try and help.
Well,
it has to help.
They won't be blocking him one-on-one. He will be taking a second offensive line.
That's what I'm saying.
So it makes my job easier.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see if the Browns make a point, and that shows how bad a lot of their defensive tackles were, that they couldn't take advantage of the fact that Myles Garrett was getting double-teamed all the time.
Every time.
I mean, all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if they purposely line up Mason Graham next to Myles Garrett up front, as opposed to being on the other side of the other defensive tackle. And plus, it'll be interesting this year. Remember, 2 years ago when the Browns really played well defensively, they were moving Myles Garrett around the line a lot more often.
Yeah.
We would see him line up as like a D tackle occasionally, or at least in that slot on the field. And we didn't really see that much last year.
Yeah, I mean, he'd shade the center at times. I mean,
right.
he
played basketball on
doing the killer crossover. Remember that play? I mean,
yep.
I think if you put him in the same spot every snap, it's like, why? You move this guy around.
Yeah.
Like, just let him be a unicorn for you.
Do you remember
why they didn't do that last
when they
year.
played Tennessee that season 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And they started him on the left side, and they motioned him to the right side, and then Tennessee motioned the extra blocker to that side. Then Myles went back to the left, and they ended up calling a timeout.
I don't think I remember.
They literally tried to shadow where Myles went,
right.
and Myles just kept. You motion? Well, you can't stop mid-motion, so I'm going to go back this way. And
think about
call
that.
A timeout.
Are you doing that for any other defensive end in football?
No.
No, I don't think so. That's to have an extra blocker shadowing him across the field.
You remember that play, right?
Of course. Yeah. That was, and they were completely flummoxed.
They called a timeout.
Yeah. That's bizarre. All right, Anthony, go ahead.
All right, guys, before we get into some Cavs stuff, I just want to remind everybody to go follow us on social media. Earl works really hard running our Twitter videos over there, and Luke puts in a lot of work on our shorts and reels on Instagram and TikTok. So give us a follow. You'll get a lot of extra content and see the highlights from the show every day.
Sounds good. All right, we go from the Guardians to the Browns to the Cavs. Our next topic on the docket, the first NBA win totals are out. We saw, right after the season that the Cavs were favored to win the East.
And now the win totals are out.
And that's because obviously Indiana's without Halliburton. The Celtics are without Tatum.
Cavs and the Knicks are basically even now.
Yeah, I would have the Knicks personally ahead of the Cavs, but okay, whatever. Let's see. Do we have? Okay, here we go. The over-unders. I can't read that.
The Thunder have the highest over/under win total, 62.5. Cavs are second.
Yeah.
55.5. The Rockets third at 54.5. The Knicks 52.5.
Wow,
the Magic at
Magic.
51.5. And the Timberwolves. And those are the 6 highest in basketball, by the way.
How many did the Magic win last year? This year?
44, 45 games.
It's a big boost for them.
Yeah.
All right. What do you? Let's go through this whole list, guys, and let's end with the Cavs. Let's start from the bottom, and say whether we go over or under on this win total.
Okay.
T-Wolves 50.5. That's a tough one for me. I'm going over.
I'd go over.
I would take the over as well.
Okay. Magic 51.5. Big jump for them. They have to win like 8 more games than last year.
Yeah, but they got. You just mentioned two stars in the East that aren't going to be out there. So
Yeah.
all those extra wins are going to rack up. I'll take the over.
I would take the slight over on that. The East is a mess.
Yeah.
But going from, and I hope I'm right when I guess 44, 45 wins. I'll look it up. Going from that.
They were at 41.
41, so that's a 10-win jump.
Yeah.
That's a big.
I'm going under.
It's
on
a
the
big
Magic.
jump, but I think the East is a mess.
Are the Celtics bad? They're not bad.
They'll be okay. Not bad, but they'll be okay.
They'll be over 500.
I think they were at 46 on that list.
Yeah,
45,
right.
give or take.
All right. I'm going under on that. Knicks, new coach, Mike Brown now.
God, the guy's got 9 lives.
How serious are they going to take the regular season as compared to years past?
That's what I don't know.
I think, they're going to have a chance along with the Cavs probably to have the number 1 seed. So I got the Knicks over 52.5.
They had 51 last year, for the record.
Yeah. Especially if they
that's
get LeBron.
That's a good number.
It's a real good number.
It is a good number.
Yeah. They're going to be right in that 50 to 53.
I'll go slightly over on them.
Yeah.
Slightly over.
Well, I mean, if you pick the Magic over,
yeah,
I feel like you got to. Unless you think the Magic are going to finish ahead of the Knicks.
No, I like the Magic number. I think that's right in the right.
But it's only one more. So, all right, Rockets 54.5. They have Kevin Durant.
Under. Slight under.
And Kevin Durant's a negative?
No, I just think the West is an absolute gauntlet. There's only
That's
one
fair.
bad team in the West, and I think I would take the under on all of the Western Conference teams.
Even the Thunder, huh?
I'm going to take a slight under on that. And I'm going to take a slight under on the Cavs, if we're being honest, too.
All these totals are going to be within a game or two, guaranteed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that 54.5. What did they win last year? You said
The
I
Rockets.
know they added Durant.
What did the Rockets?
They won 52 last year.
Yeah. Did they?
They were the 2 seed.
Yeah.
Oklahoma won 68, and then we won 64.
I got the Rockets under. I'm with you.
Under Rockets.
I got the under on the Cavs.
I have to.
I do, too. I think
They're not going to focus on the regular season anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think their entire focus should be and has to be, we need to be as prepared for the playoffs as humanly possible. What works, what doesn't work. We need counters. One of the things that they ran into against Indiana was when Indiana took away their number 1 option on offense, and granted, injuries played a part, that they didn't have as many guys to sparse the ball. They had no counter. And the counter this year has to be, we got to get Evan more involved, and we have to run more offense through Evan, and we're going to have to sacrifice some regular season games to force feed Evan the Rock early to see what he can and can't do in different situations. And if they win 54 games,
I don't care if they win 48 games.
I was going to say,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because all that matters is the playoffs. So we saw the Celtics win the championship and then go, I think, 6 games under their projected win total the next year. The Cavs obviously did not win the championship.
Yeah.
But it's hard to go and have as much injury luck as the Cavs had in the regular season.
Yeah. Well, you already know Darius is missing the beginning of the season.
Darius is missing part. I got him at 54 wins. If they go over, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. But I would take the slight under.
And then the Thunder. What do you guys got? 62.5.
Who's beating them?
What did they end up winning last year?
68.
68.
Yeah. I made a lot of money on the Thunder over last year. It was
Yeah.
at 55, and I was like, that's way too low. This number's scary. Going into an over-under at 62.5.
I mean, it's such a high number.
That's a crazy high number.
You're one injury away from being a 55.
And like how motivated they can be, especially early in the season, coming off a championship. You
always see the championship slump and the championship hangover.
I got them under. I think they'll win. I still think they'll have the most wins in the league.
Yeah.
But I bet you they win like 60, 61.
What was I could look this up right now. The team that I like the most, if you're really looking to make a bet now, I love the Nuggets for next season. Like, could not be higher on the Nuggets' chances.
Why?
Think they finally have a team around.
Well, who did they add?
They traded Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson,
right,
which I think is an upgrade from a stylistic standpoint, a health standpoint. They got Jonas Valanciunas, so they actually have some sort of center. They traded Dario Saric for Valanciunas.
Yep.
They got Bruce Brown back, who was a...
Oh, yeah, he was big when they won the championship.
Exactly. Right? And they lost Russell Westbrook, which I think is addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
Murray should be fully healthy for this season for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And they have a new head coach that Jokic signed on with.
Yeah, right.
And Malone...
So what's their win total?
I'm trying to pull it up here. I saw a tweet with him. Hold on.
He talked me into the Nuggets.
I really like the Nuggets. I'm very, very high on the Nuggets right now.
Man, the West is so much better than the East right now. It felt like the East had finally started catching up.
52.5. And I would take the over on that.
You know what's funny is like the West had been better for so long, and in the last couple of years it felt like the East had caught up and maybe even passed the West, and now that's all gone. Now the West seems a million times better than the East.
The Spurs and the Celtics have the same exact over-under win total for next season. The Spurs are the 10th or 11th best team in the West. At least like what you'd expect. If Wemby takes the jump, some of the young guys, they could certainly be better. And then the Celtics are a year removed from a championship without. And then you drop all the way down.
Indiana?
Indiana. 39.5.
Wow.
So sub 500 team.
Imagine going from the finals to the under 5. The game 7 of the finals to finishing under 500. Who's fourth in the East beyond
Cavs, Knicks, Magic, Hawks at 46.5.
I mean, if the Hawks are the fourth best team in the East.
Then Bucks, Pistons, 45.5, 45.5. Celtics, 43.5.
Yeah.
Sixers, 43.5 with the Celtics. Pacers, 49.5.
The Sixers, I mean, they're
you can't bet on the
Can't trust them.
Can't bet on
them.
them.
No.
Completely untouchable. Completely untouchable from a bet.
I think I'd have Milwaukee higher. I'd take money on Milwaukee's
What
over.
do they got besides Giannis?
They did just sign Miles Turner, but I'm not sure how much of a game changer that is.
What's the over/under for Boston again?
43.5.
I like the over there.
I do too.
They're always a scrappy team, even when
they're
they're
a team that, like, even if they put some of their backups out there, they win games.
Yeah,
like, they're well coached.
Well, they shoot a gajillion threes, so it's just a matter of.
And Jaylen Brown, like.
Well, we're gonna see how good could Jaylen Brown be a number one. Like, we're gonna find out.
He's gonna take a ton of shots.
Yeah.
And they got some other good players.
Right?
Porzingis is gone. Atlanta.
That's right.
Which is part of the reason why their win total is now the fourth highest in the East.
But he's also hurt all the time.
Yeah, if they get him for 30 games.
Yeah.
As long as he's healthy for the playoffs, that's all they care about. But yeah, with the Cavs.
Yeah.
I just don't see them taking the regular season nearly as seriously, and I don't think they should. They should be trying to workshop different things to put them in a better position for a deep playoff run than we've seen in the past. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I have no energy level to be excited about the Cavs in the regular season because I said I wasn't going to pay attention if they didn't make any changes last year. They didn't. They got off to that great start. I jumped I jumped fully in the pool. I splashed everybody on the side, and I was in there all season, and then they shit the bed.
And also, to get to 64 wins, they won their first 15 games of the season. They had 3 different 10-game win streaks throughout the season. That doesn't happen. Like, that's so infrequent.
And how many times did we say, no, they're not the Hawks from whatever year?
Yes.
And they were the Hawks.
For most years.
They weren't even as good as the Hawks because the Hawks made the conference finals that year. So.
And the Hawks at least lost to LeBron.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, the Pacers had a great run, but Tyrese Halliburton ain't LeBron.
Nope. he ain't LeBron now.
No, it's true.
And that was, 2015? God, it was a decade ago.
Yeah,
Still.
right. Exactly.
He's still LeBron James.
Oh, you know what? We don't have another Guardians topic, do we? Because we never talked about the unearthing of my tweet from 10 years ago.
You want to do that real quick before we get to our next topic?
Yeah. So,
go for it.
Earl, end the clip. Bull, bring up your tweet.
Okay, so
Scuba Steve.
out of the blue, I see this, and I thought it was funny that somebody found a tweet that I posted from 2015.
And I'll send you the tweet. Someone DM'd it to me.
Of course, I can't find it now.
I saw it yesterday. I might have favored it.
You favorited it?
And
I thought it was funny.
I just DM'd it to you, Ant.
That's funny. It is funny.
Scuba Steve tweeted it, Bull, if you're looking for Scuba Steve.
Oh, that's what it is. Bless you.
Scuba_Steve26.
Scuba.
Mike, which one of our million DMs did you send it to?
Tagboard DMs.
Yeah, I should have been more prepared for this. Just bring it up, Anthony.
I'm waiting for Twitter to
Anyway, the point was people were complaining that Francisco Lindor was not getting called up to the majors, kind of like we're doing right now. And my tweet was something to the effect of...
I can read it word for word real quick before I pull it up.
Well, I can read my own tweet, Anthony. I don't need you to read my tweet. I mean, but bring it up so we can see it.
It's got to load. But I have it up here.
Oh, okay.
For all those...
Somebody read the damn tweet.
I said something to the effect of...
Thank you.
I know Ramirez stinks, referencing Jose Ramirez in 2015, but then I said something about why Lindor hasn't been called up yet. Okay? And so, was it Scuba Steve that turned this into, somebody said, well, you see, everybody gives up prospects early.
So this is how it all came about.
Yeah.
Some person who is an engagement farmer who has like 15,000 followers tweeted, what's the worst tweet y'all have ever seen?
There you go.
Scuba Steve took a screenshot of this tweet, and this was Bull from 2015.
Yeah. So here's now I don't remember, 10 years ago, I don't remember what I was thinking at the time. Obviously, Jose Ramirez was not a big prospect, And at the time, he was playing crappy when he first came up, right? Now I feel like I got to bring up Jose's stats for that year. So
this is great TV.
And if you want to make fun of me for that, absolutely, have at it. I said it. I said Jose Ramirez stinks. Now, again, I don't remember at the time what I was thinking. How could I possibly remember? But I don't think I was saying, oh, he stinks, period. It was more like, he stinks right now. Let's give somebody else a try.
Right.
But Lindor, who we were all dying to see in the big leagues, at the time wasn't playing particularly well. So I understood why the Guardians at the time hadn't called him up. Jose ended up in that 2015, stupid pop-up ads. In that 2015 season, Jose ended up, how many games did he play in 2015? He played 97 games that year. He didn't do anything. I mean, he was terrible. It's so funny because Jose made his major league debut in 2013, 14 plate appearances, barely played, right? In 2014, he had 266 plate appearances, did nothing. 2 homers, 17 ribbies, was not good. And then in 2015, again, nothing. 355 plate appearances, 6 homers, 27 ribbies. His OPS was 631. There was not, and he wasn't a top prospect. So maybe I thought he stunk, period. I don't know. But certainly at the moment, I was like, yeah, I know he stinks right now, but Lindor's not playing great. There it is. And, the next year is when he started playing better. Next year he had a good OPS, 11 homers, 76 ribbies, and then 2017 is when he jumped into stardom. So, yes, you could roast me. I don't remember my intent at the time. Was I ready to completely give up on Ramirez? I don't know. Maybe I was. And if I was, then I was wrong, obviously. But that is just so weird to bring that up out of the blue because I didn't remember tweeting that, obviously. That could have been brought up so many times. It's odd to bring it up all of a sudden now. You could have brought that tweet up any time in the last 8 years, and it would have looked just as bad.
It's Twitter, Bull. Who knows?
It was so funny. I wonder why it randomly came up yesterday.
It's just them responding to the worst tweet you've ever seen.
But I don't know. To me, that's because at the time he did suck. So I don't think I think I've said way worse stuff than that. But that can't be the worst tweet he's ever seen.
Hyperbole, Adam.
Yeah. All right. That was a bad one. All right, let's go.
Let's rank some quarterbacks.
All right, guys, we're doing quarterback rankings, but before we do that, summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily prompts to make fun ways to bet. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers bet $5 and they get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. If you open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to get started.
All right, so this whole thing started, we mentioned our old buddy Nick Wilson, Dustin, put up a tweet where he listed all his quarterbacks in tiers, in his opinion. I think he said it was from him and Jonathan, but then Jonathan told me it was really just Nick. So, and overall his list was, we thought it was pretty solid,
yeah,
but
pretty good.
He had an egregious screw-up, in my opinion there, and I think most people would agree, that he had Jalen Hurts in the elite category with Mahomes, Allen, and Jackson, and he had Joe Burrow in that next group, very good, with Jared Goff and Dak and Jaden Daniels and a few other people. And to me, that was crazy. And his argument was, well, the Bengals didn't make the playoffs the last 2 years. There you go. I thought that was a pretty weak argument because the Bengals not making the playoffs the last 2 years had zero to do with Joe Burrow. Especially, first of all, Joe Burrow got hurt 2 years ago, missed the back end of the season. But last year, you can't play better. Joe Burrow, let's put it this way. If the Bengals defense was below average
they still
last
make the
season,
playoffs.
They win 11 or 12 games, and he wins the MVP. The only reason he didn't win the MVP is because they didn't make the playoffs. He was better than Lamar, and he was better than Josh Allen last year. And there is, I got to imagine, obviously I don't know this for a fact, Dustin, you tell me what you think.
Yeah.
I can't imagine there's a single GM in the league, including including Howie Roseman in Philly. Maybe he'd be the only one. Maybe that would take Jalen Hurts over Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I mean, I would say maybe Howie would feel that way just because this guy, in 4 years has been to 2 Super Bowls, won one. Like, I don't know. I mean, Philly doesn't win a Super Bowl without Jalen Hurts.
Right.
You'd agree with
that,
right? And by the
way, I believe higher on Jalen Hurts than the average person is. I like Jalen Hurts a lot. I think he's in that very good group, and I think he's near the top of the very good group. I just don't think he's better than Burrow.
He just doesn't put up the numbers passing-wise that like some of these elite quarterbacks do. He plays the position so much different than we've seen in the past. Like, I don't know. I think that I can see why people would put him in that elite group. Ahead of Burrow, I wouldn't do that, but I can see it because the guy's won a title and been to another one. Like, Burrow's been to one. I get it, the team, all that stuff. But, like, what Jalen Hurts is able to do with his ability to lead that team and also, I mean, the guy carries the football like 15 times a game.
Yeah.
You know, so I think there's a lot on his plate.
There is, and I could even live with him being in the elite category. But I'd still
Burrow,
put him below Burrow in that elite category.
That's fine.
To me, I just don't. I don't see how, if you're looking at it fairly, and not that Burrow doesn't have talent around him. Obviously, on offense, the Bengals have as good a talent as anybody. But if you look at the whole team, I mean, Philadelphia is way better than the Bengals. I mean, defense, it's not even close. The Bengals have maybe 2 players that could play on that Philly defense, 3 at the most. So, it's not a completely apples-to-apples thing. So we decided that we would make our own. Now, Mike sent a text message to our entire team.
And we mentioned it on the show to G and Tyvis.
And mentioned it on the show to G and Tyvis. And we asked everybody on the show to send their 32 quarterbacks ranked in order. We asked Earl, we asked Dustin, we asked me, Mike asked himself. We asked Jay, G, Jason,
Tyvis.
And Tyvis. And only me, you, and Earl sent in. And Anthony, sorry. Dustin, G, Tyvis, Jay, Jason all failed to take on this assignment.
Well,
and you were the one against current blame because you're here.
Okay, but can I also like get like I barely look at that text that group chat.
All right,
if you need something from me, I need a side text.
You have said that. I'll give you that.
I need a side text.
It was also in the rundown.
So this morning,
hope you looked at.
Just so you know, I usually get the
rundown.
Too late. When you send the rundown at night,
I
typically go, cool, I'll check in the morning.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. And this morning I checked and I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
Do I got to send Mike something?
That's it.
But I'm like, you know what? He knows to send me a side text.
That is true.
Yeah.
It's okay, though. So here's how we did it.
The only one that surprised me, honestly,
was Tyvis.
I knew Dustin wouldn't do it. I knew G. Bush wouldn't do it. And I knew Jay and Jason wouldn't do it.
Jason's in Vegas. Jason
wouldn't have done it anyway.
He usually does.
He might have. I knew Jay wouldn't do it.
No.
Tyvis was the one that surprised me, that he didn't do it.
So here's how we did it. So we had Bull, Ant, Earl, and myself all ranked quarterbacks 1 through 32.
Yeah.
We made a composite list.
Yeah.
Using, if you were voted first, you got 1 point down.
Who had the worst list?
Our top 11s were all very similar. Then the rest was preference, how you wanted to judge what you expect from a guy versus what they've done in the past.
Yeah, my list, I did more tiers. So
which is
some of my guys that are unproven, I would probably have higher than the group before. But
which is fine. So that's why I wanted to do it this way. So we have a composite. We're going to run through 1 through. It actually turned into 1 through 33 because some people voted for Penix and Kirk Cousins, who are both on Atlanta, which we didn't really think about.
Did I put Cousins on there?
Yeah, you did.
Who did I leave out then? I must have left out one team.
We'll get to it because Ant also couldn't figure out who he left out. And
it was a mess.
It's a whole thing. But
I did that. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, no. And Jonathan did the same thing. So we'll figure that. So I composited the list, took the average score, and then we're going to run through 1 through 32 real quick.
Because I put Tyler Shuck on there.
And I just left it as Saints quarterback.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go through and figure out where the tiers. So based on our cumulative 4-person composite list, where we would draw the tier lines and what the tiers
You don't want to start from the bottom. We're going to show you the whole thing and then we'll discuss
and then we'll tier.
All right, let's bring it up, Anthony.
And this is separated 1 through 5 just for graphic purposes.
Yeah, all right.
So it's 1 through 5, 6 through 10.
All right, Mahomes 1, Allen 2, Burrow and Lamar tied for 3.
Dead
Look at
even,
that.
same points, dead
all right,
even.
Jalen Hurts 5. Okay, that's good. It's pretty much what I had. All right, 6 to 10. Jaden Daniels, Justin Herbert, Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, and C.J. Stroud comes in at number 10. All right, Baker 11. I think that's where I had Baker either 10 or 11.
You had Baker at 11.
Yeah. Jordan Love 12, Dak 13, Tua 14, Brock Purdy 15. Okay. Trevor Lawrence 16, Kyler Murray 17, Geno Smith 18, Bryce Young 19, Bo Nix 20, which is interesting. Sam Darnold 21, Kirk Cousins 22, Caleb Williams 23, Drake May 24, Justin Fields 25, Aaron Rodgers 26, Michael Penix Jr. 27, Cam Ward 28, Russell Wilson 29, Joe Flacco 30, J.J. McCarthy 31, Daniel Jones 32, and Tyler Shuck 33. So what? We had two quarterbacks from. We had
the Falcons.
Oh yeah,
Penix.
Who did I leave
Kirk
out?
Cousins.
McCarthy.
I don't even know who you left out. I just know you.
Maybe I had 33. I don't even remember.
No, you had 32 because Earl had 33, and his list was one longer than yours.
Oh man.
And I missed Cam Ward because I took him off to move him and never put him back on.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I had Cam Ward on there.
You did have Cam Ward on there.
I can't remember who I left out. All right.
So let's go through that again.
I think our list is great.
I think we did a pretty good job. The
Okay, let's
composites
start from the beginning again.
So would you? The question I want to ask here.
Yeah,
Do you draw the elite line after the Lamar Burrow tie,
I do personally.
or do you include Jalen Hurts?
Dustin,
what do you think?
No, I'll put him in. That list to me is fine.
but where do you draw the elite line? After Lamar and Burrow, or after Hurts?
Those 5 guys.
Let's go
Okay.
before that. Do you still have a Mahomes only tier, or do
No,
you think
I don't anymore.
No.
those three? Because I agree. I
Yeah.
used to have Mahomes, then those three.
Yeah.
I think all three of those quarterbacks have permeated up
Yeah,
into just the
I
elite
think in the
tier
end, the
category.
tiebreaker for Mahomes.
We
is that he's
shouldn't
one
shouldn't
more, but
denigrate Jalen Hurts just because he does something better than all 4 of those other guys.
I just what does he do better than all of them?
He's a better runner. I
Not
mean,
better than Lamar.
okay.
Or Josh.
No, I think he's better than Josh. But
I don't know. I mean, I not better than Lamar. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mahomes and Burrow, him and Allen, I'd say it's a wash.
in terms of running,
I draw the elite line after 4, and
I do
Hurts
too.
is right on the precipice. I just I don't even know why, Dustin, because he outplayed Mahomes this Super Bowl. You could argue he outplayed Mahomes.
But they're not playing against the same
I'm just saying,
team.
he played awesome in 2 Super Bowls. He's won a
Yeah.
Super Bowl, but his team's so good around him, and the pieces are. I don't know if he could carry a team like those other 4 guys can.
It's easy to kind of pile on Mahomes a little right now because everybody was looking after all the celebrity they got, all the commercials they do, to look for any crack and take advantage of Mahomes. The truth is, though, like, especially since Tyreek Hill left,
They've had no weapons.
he has had limited weapons.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey counts, but
Besides Kelsey. And Kelsey's clearly in decline now.
Yeah.
Clearly. It wouldn't shock me if Kelsey went off the cliff this year, or
no.
certainly by the end of this year. All right, so nobody would change it. I mean, whatever. I'm fine with the exact order that it's in now. Let's go to 6 through 10 again.
So our second tier would be the very good, close to elite tier.
It's hard to know where to put Daniels exactly because he's only done it for 1 year.
But that 1 year was special.
So awesome. Year.
Right, but C.J. Stroud was amazing his rookie year and not as good
And
as
took a
second
step
year.
back, yeah.
And what if the same thing happens to Daniels?
That's why I had him a little lower on my personal list.
Yeah.
We had 2 votes for him at number 5,
Yeah.
ahead of Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts ended up with a higher aggregate.
If Daniels follows up this year with as good or better than he did last year, then he's going to go up for me.
Yeah. Do you have any issue with this 5 ranking, or would you consider all of these guys in the same tier?
I would not.
I draw a line at 8.
I do too. And I would have Stafford ahead of Herbert. Obviously, Herbert's younger, but for like 1 year, I'd still take Stafford over Herbert. For me. I don't know about you guys.
I would not, but it's close.
I think I'd put Goff over Herbert. I think I did.
I think you did
Jared
too.
Goff's not better than Justin Herbert, I don't think. But
Talent-wise, probably not. I mean, Goff has proved a lot of doubters wrong.
he has. Listen, I think I had, where did I have Goff? 9 or 10.
8, 9, 10.
Did I have him ahead of Baker? I think I did.
I could tell you.
I mean, it's hardly an insult to say the guy's. I mean, for all the crapping I've done on Baker, I still had him 10 or 11.
You had Goff at 4. You had Goff at 9, which is where he was.
And then who did I have? Stroud and then Baker?
Stroud and Baker, yeah.
Okay.
But I think these guys, Stafford, Herbert, Daniels, and Hurts are in that Very close to elite, but just slightly
tier 2.
below.
That's
and then
how
I
I feel.
Goff, Stroud, and the next couple guys in tier 3, and my own personal tier rankings.
Dustin, what you got? Any beef with this? Would you have been in any different order?
I mean, different order, maybe a couple.
If you had to rank these 5, and would you have Baker ahead of any of those guys?
I would.
Ahead of who?
I'd have Baker in there ahead of Stroud, and I'd have him in front of Stafford.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Baker's 11 on this list, by the way, so he is the next.
I know he's right. That's what I'm saying. I know
you got him 9
right there. Yeah, I'd have.
No,
him
I'm just reminding people out there who are only seeing this and maybe not remember.
It's
the
like
list.
we don't have him that far out of this window.
No,
he's literally next. Literally next.
So you would have. So
I might even put him ahead of Jaden Daniels just because it's 1 year last year with Jaden.
Oh man.
So would you have Herbert 6 then, Baker 7, Daniels 8?
Sure.
What about Goff?
Dude, these are so close. Like, I mean, we're acting like the difference between 6 and 10 is this crazy.
Yeah, I know. They're all awesome. That's the exercise. You gotta put them in order. Let's go. Stop sitting on the fence.
All right, you mean put those in order right there?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I'll go Herbert.
And you can add Baker in wherever.
Yeah, I'll go Herbert, Goff, Baker, Daniels. Who do I miss?
Stroud and Stafford.
Stroud, Stafford.
All right.
Let's see 11 through 15.
Yeah. All right, so we'll take out Baker because we got it. I obviously nobody thinks Baker should be lower than 11th right now.
Nope.
The thing with
he actually was 11th, by the way, on 3 of the 4 ballots. Like he actually was.
Who had him somewhere else?
I could pull it up. I don't have all 4 in front of me, but he was. You had him 11th. I had him 11th.
I had Baker 12th.
So there's the one.
Behind who?
Behind Jordan Love, Herbert.
You're
Stafford.
nuts.
Yeah, you can't. I listen. Nobody's criticized Baker more than me. I can't put Jordan Love ahead of him.
No chance.
Baker last season was better than any season Jordan Love has had, and really the last 2 years. I mean, he's been better than Jordan Love. I think we may have Jordan Love too high, honestly. If I knew Dak and Tua were going to be healthy, I would definitely have them both ahead of Love. And the more I think about it now, and I know I put Purdy lower, I might put Purdy ahead of Love too. But definitely, if Tua and Dak, if you guaranteed me they were healthy, which you can't do, obviously, I'd have. They're both better players than Jordan Love.
Earl and Ant both had Love at 11 on their list, 12 on their list, excuse me, which is why he ended up at 12, despite.
Yeah. Where did I have Love?
If I had 4 phones to have all 4 of your lists in front of me, this would be a lot easier.
Well, I could look at my own.
Text me your list or.
You know what? I'll bring up.
You had Love at 4, 10, 13. You had him at 16.
Yeah, I had Love way lower than you guys.
Yeah. I would have put Prescott lower if I could have, but everybody else I thought was a little bit more.
Well, but Dak's been a great player in the league.
Regular season, sure, but.
What do you mean regular season? What has Jordan Love done in the playoffs? What has Baker Mayfield done in the playoffs?
What has Tua done in the playoffs?
What did any of these guys? Most of these guys haven't done anything in the playoffs. I mean, now you could argue, you could say those guys are younger, but I mean, most of these guys have not had playoff success.
Earl straight up said he wouldn't put Dak on the list if he didn't have to. So
yeah,
that's what we think about Dak.
Earl is the number 1 Dak hater.
That's ridiculous. People are.
There's always a quarterback in every era that just is a really good player.
Dak's really damn good.
The team doesn't really win, and the quarterback gets denigrated.
Yeah, that's
Dak.
Everybody,
Dak's that guy.
People hate the Cowboys, which I get, and people kind of use that against Dak. I mean, has he been that bad in the playoffs? Let me see his playoff numbers.
He actually hasn't been that bad in the playoffs.
Dak's played 7 games in the playoffs. Completion percentage 64.5. That's not amazing, but not bad. 14 touchdowns, 7 picks. I mean, that's good.
It's not bad.
I mean, listen, some of it might have been garbage time. Who knows? He hasn't been amazing in the playoffs. But, again, Lamar Jackson's been pretty bad in the playoffs. And nobody's taking him out of the top 5 because he's awesome. Dak was hurt last year. When he's been healthy, he's been a top 10 quarterback every year.
The only one on this particular 5 grouping that
Yeah, I had Jordan Love way lower.
You had him lower.
You guys are way over the top on Jordan Love.
I had Tua lower.
I agree.
Tua scares the. It's all health with Tua.
I know.
I couldn't put him any higher. He was one of the guys that had the biggest variance of range in this group.
Yeah.
He just scares the.
You must have had Jordan Love higher too.
I had Jordan Love at 13.
Yeah. What has Jordan Love done to be that high? He played good for like half a season.
I'm looking at it. I had him above Purdy. I would change that.
Yeah, I did. I had Jordan Love 16, Purdy 17. That was wrong.
I would change that in hindsight.
Yeah.
I did this in about 10 minutes this morning.
Oh, here come the excuses.
I think I'm looking at my list right. It's the only one I would swap so far is Purdy and
yeah, Love should be
right now.
Love should be lower.
I'd be okay switching Love lower as well.
All right, go ahead. Let's see the next group. Trevor Lawrence. Who knows with him?
I feel like we have these quarterbacks for the most part in the right groups.
Yeah, sure.
You can nitpick a couple of spots. Hey, swap Kyler Murray and Bryce Young, whatever. I mean, I think we're on with where the guys are at.
I think for the most part we did a pretty good
job.
We're a
little unfair to Bo Nix maybe. He did have a great year. And like the thing about Murray, I don't know. Murray and Smith, they are what they are. Like, you kind of know what you're getting from them. It's not great, but it's not, it's...
Same with Geno Smith.
Yeah, right. Murray, I'm sorry, that's what I meant. Bryce Young, I love his upside. And Bo Nix obviously has upside. It's probably unfair to have, coming off a great rookie season that he had, have him that low. But all right.
I'm the highest on Nix. I think I had 18.
Yeah, I think I had Nix a little low.
I'm a little lower on Nix, too.
Yeah, go ahead, Anthony. Next group. Yeah, and Kirk Cousins should be lower. I mean, he looked finished last year. Now, maybe a year off the surgery. I would definitely rather have Caleb Williams or Drake May than Kirk Cousins. Honestly, Caleb Williams and Drake May should be ahead of both Darnold. I think Darnold was an anomaly for most of the regular season. I think he's fraudulent, and personally, and I think, he went to, where is he, Seattle?
Seattle. I think Kirk's way too high. Caleb and Drake, statistically speaking, decent rookie years, but new systems now for both with Ben Johnson in Chicago. They're tough to rank. This is where the categories work better than the 1 through 32.
Right, yeah.
Because they fit into the...
Yeah.
I like the upside, but I don't exactly know what we have yet grouping better than 23
Yeah, overall,
and 24.
I think we got a decent order. I think
Kirk Cousins is too high, though.
Yeah, Williams and May should be ahead of certainly Cousins and probably Darnold. But go ahead.
Darnold did have a really good year last year,
did.
though. If we're going to give Bo Nix and some guys credit for 1 year. I know Darnold's later in his career.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But he did have the best season, a better season than Bo Nix.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but we've seen more bad than good from him.
A lot more bad than good.
Yeah, go ahead. 26-30. Rodgers, Penix. Yeah, I mean, rating a rookie is hard to do.
I had Rodgers as my lowest.
Yeah,
I can't have him lower than Russell Wilson and Joe Flacco.
Ant did.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
I dropped them all the way.
And I can't stand Rodgers, but, how can he be behind Kirk Cousins also? That doesn't make any sense.
I can't.
I didn't have Cousins on my list, to be fair.
I mean, Rodgers was not great, obviously, for the Jets last year, but he wasn't terrible. He was, he was all right. And, I know it's a lot of Steeler hate, but come on. Below Russell Wilson and Joe Flacco?
Can't.
I just think he's going to get even worse this year, so I had to put him lower.
But are Russell Wilson and Joe Flacco going to get any better?
I don't think Russell Wilson's going to play. I think they're going to start somebody else for the Giants.
They might.
He's
They might
projected.
start
He's the
rookie.
projected starter right now.
But as of now, and then Flacco at 30.
and
then what do we got?
Earl had J.J. McCarthy 33,
Oh, okay.
which is our final one here if you want to take the last graphic here, Steve. But McCarthy, Daniel Jones, and Tyler S. in New Orleans.
I think I had Daniel Jones last.
You had Daniel Jones last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's trash.
Yeah.
The Colts have the bad quarterback situation. So do the Saints. So do the Browns. Unless one of the rookies does something. Same thing with the Saints. The Jets don't even have that. I mean, the
Steelers.
the Steelers. Well, yeah, they don't have that. They don't even have a rookie. Well, they got the Ohio State quarterback.
Will Howard.
Who seems like a long shot. If J.J. McCarthy doesn't hit from Minnesota, they got nothing. Daniel Jones on Indy. Obviously, their quarterback situation's terrible. And then what about the Giants quarterback situation? Well, again, they might go with Jackson Dart.
Jameis.
Who is the Jets' backup quarterback?
Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, so they got a terrible situation. Oh, no, I'm thinking, wait, they have Justin Fields. And yeah, that's a terrible situation. And the Steelers have a terrible situation, in my opinion. So, but Mike Tomlin somehow will find a way to win 9 games, of course, because he always does. And we'll see. I mean, Rodgers could completely go off a cliff this year. That's certainly possible.
You think he will?
I kind of think he's going to be good.
I do too.
I kind of think he's going to be good.
Yeah?
I do.
I think he's going to be like he was last year. He'll be okay.
I mean, you put him into another, like, he went to New York. The Jets are a dog shit organization.
He didn't help, though.
No, he's nuts.
Yeah.
I'm not defending Aaron Rodgers at all.
Yeah.
This is strictly based off of his talent.
Well, you're right. They are a terrible organization.
You pull him out of the city. You put him in Pittsburgh with a well-run organization. And Tomlin, I mean, you got a Super Bowl winning MVP quarterback, and a coach who's won a Super Bowl and been to multiple. Like, I just think to write them off and to say that they're not going to be, like, I just have to see it to believe it.
I also think coming off an Achilles that second year
is
like...
Yeah, I know that, but he's still in his 40s.
No, I know. I'm just saying
no quarterback besides Tom Brady has played well at his age.
And I don't think Rodgers played
And I'm not
very
completely
good
writing him
year.
off. I don't think he but you can't be shocked if he goes off the cliff.
I didn't say I'd be shocked.
Favre had that good year in Minnesota, dude. Like, in his 40s.
I just think I think he's going to kind of be good.
He kind of cratered towards the end of the he had a great year with the Jets, and then at the end of the year he kind of fell apart. The same thing happened in Minnesota. It's hard in your 40s to be good at quarterback.
I mean, he's a play away from going to the Super Bowl or going to the NFC title game.
Yeah, that's true.
I kind of think he's going to be good.
It'll be interesting to see. I don't think Rodgers is going to completely fall apart, but I think he'll be kind of average, which, again, for them, he plays average. That's probably better than the quarterback play they've gotten in the last few years.
Since Roethlisberger, yeah.
Which is hard to believe that they've found a way to be over 500 with below-average quarterback play.
What's his ceiling in your mind then? Could he be the 15th best quarterback in football this year?
Yeah, I guess so.
I think he could be in. I think he'll end the season. We'll talk about him as like basically average, between 13 and 18.
Yeah,
I think
which is a lot higher than 29 wherever we had.
Yeah,
on the
right.
list.
I think you'll have the Steelers in position, to make the playoffs. They'll compete. They'll be competitive, and I think he'll play well enough that people will be like, "Is he going to come back for another year?" I already said this is like his last year,
right?
But I think he'll play well enough that it'll leave some doubt as to whether or not he should retire.
Do the Browns have a quarterback that could end up being as high as 15th best quarterback?
Sure.
Yeah, Shador.
You think so?
Or Dylan.
This guy's never taken a snap.
So you saying Shador?
I'm saying sure, and then it sounds like Shador, so Shador.
I mean, you think there's a chance he could be the 15th best quarterback
this year? No, I don't think so.
I can't see it.
It's possible. I mean, no one thought Bo Nix was going to do anything.
Right, but Bo Nix, you knew he was going to get the opportunity. We don't know that Shador is going to get the opportunity.
True.
Yeah.
I'm not going to like if I knew Shador was starting week 1, I'd say okay, it's possible he could be 15th best quarterback in the league. But that's
you also
hard
need
enough
you need the games to get the stats to make you be in the conversation for like, oh, this guy had a great year. Like if he played 8 games and had 1,500 yards passing, he's not going to be the 15th best quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, the odds of a player, again, you can say whatever you want about where he should have been drafted. If teams thought he was that good, he would have been drafted in the first round. Yes, he dropped further because of other things. But most of the impact rookies at quarterback were first-round picks.
Almost all of them. We did that whole study after the draft, and it was 3 quarterbacks not selected in the first round have gone on to have, I forget the exact statistical range.
As a rookie?
Just in general.
Yeah, but specifically as a rookie, there are obviously Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins and Tom Brady. There's a lot of guys that
those were the 3 in the last decade you just mentioned.
But there's not many rookies, period, that are great as rookies at quarterback, let alone not drafted in the first round. That's so rare because quarterbacks drafted past the first round almost never get an opportunity as a rookie.
Purdy's the only one I could think of in like recent memory.
But he
started the season in week 10, 11.
Yeah, I mean, he played well, but it wasn't a full season.
Yeah, he played 6 or 7 games.
Right, and nobody was calling him the 15th best quarterback at the end of the first season. Now, by the next year,
when he played well again, yeah.
All right, Anthony, there we go. The quarterback list.
All right, guys, we're going to bounce back to basketball here right after a word from Epicor, because today's episode is brought to you by them. And every team knows that the value of hard work and taking pride in what you build and practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier, and at Epicor, the all-stars are the hard-working manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. You can see your whole supply chain easier, manage your logistics easier, and respond to price changes easier. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with a global vision, Epicor will equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most out of every hardworking minute, and easier doesn't cut corners, easier finds the lane. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com.
All right. Let's keep it moving here. Okay, so getting back to hoops. What do we got? Larry Nance Jr. and Lonzo Ball both said in their first presser with the Cavs that part of the reason they're excited to be a Cav was the chance to compete for a title. We just saw Indy and Oklahoma City reach the finals thanks to role guys that stepped up in the playoffs and elevated their games. Do you, Dustin Fox, think Lonzo Ball and Larry Nance Jr. can be those type of players?
I don't know. I mean, can they stay healthy? Obviously, it's a big factor here, probably the biggest factor for both these guys.
Hands down.
Lonzo, like early in his career, I was a fan of. I liked his game. I thought, he's a super explosive athlete. Nance is a guy, good defender. Can obviously get to the bucket, blocks. Defense, all that stuff. He's got the Cleveland ties, which is cool. But outside of that, outside of the nostalgia, overall, they're fine. But can they stay healthy? If they can, these are perfectly adequate, fine role players that will probably be like. You'll fall in love with them if they make big plays in the postseason. If they don't, you won't even talk about them.
Yeah, I mean, health is by far the biggest concern with both those guys. Larry Nance Jr. played 24 games last year.
Yep.
Lonzo played 35 games last year, but he's played 70 games total in the last 4 seasons. Lonzo Ball and Dustin Fox have played the same amount of career NBA playoff games, by the way.
How about that?
0. Larry Nance Jr. has played 30 in his career, but 20 came back in 2018, his first stint in Cleveland, when they reached the NBA Finals. So outside of that year when he was really just playing fringe minutes, given 7-8 minutes off the bench for Cleveland during that stretch, he's played in 10 playoff games since 2018. So they don't have a ton of playoff experience. But when you look at the qualities, that the guys like Nembhard and Neesmith and the guys on Indiana had in particular that allowed them to elevate their games and reach new levels in the playoffs, I do think there can be, and the key word is can, be some similarities between Lonzo, Larry Nance, and those guys. Athleticism shined, and Lonzo is not the athlete he was when he was drafted. He missed 2 full seasons with a left knee injury, but he still is 6'6". Go back and look at some of the fast break dunks he had last season. It's still there. It's just not on 100% of the time. Dustin, you can attest to when you lose a little bit of athleticism via injury, so you still have spurts of it, but it's not that prolonged burst.
We saw with Sean Livingston for a while. He had a devastating injury, comes back, not the same explosive athlete, but still a pretty darn good athlete.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you one thing about Nance, though. I texted one of my NBA gurus this morning and said, hey, we're going to talk about this today. He's like, well, bring this up. You'll probably be all over this. Nance apparently has improved his corner 3.
Awesome from the corner.
And threes overall, which can certainly help.
TA?
Yeah. No, not TA. Well, it's in the group with TA, but not TA.
TA put a great stat out there. Shout out to TA. Does a great job. Follow him on Twitter. But in games over the last 2 seasons that Larry Nance has taken at least 4 threes, so games which he actually has real volume, shooting 50% from beyond the arc. He finished in the top 10 percentile in overall threes, corner threes, and above the break threes, according to Cleaning the Glass, in terms of the overall big man spectrum. But back to the Lonzo point and the Larry point, like, can they be playoff risers? More than anything, you have to have the mentality not to shrink in those moments, right? It's less of guys rising, and I think it's more of an issue of guys cratering and not being ready for the moment. Lonzo Ball's been in the spotlight since he was like 14 years old. He played with LaMelo and LiAngelo, and his dad coached. And Onyeka Okongwu, the center for the Hawks, was also on that high school team at Chino Hills.
And his dad's a lunatic.
And his dad's he's been in the spotlight his entire career.
Where's his dad been, by the way? I haven't heard from him in 5 years.
He was on ESPN Radio the other day. I told Steve we should try and get him.
It's the first time
he lost a foot, by the way.
I knew that.
Oh, does he have diabetes?
He had some sort of medical
something
condition.
medical. We had to amputate his foot.
He was such a dick when we interviewed him.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah,
You had
he
him on.
was.
Racist son of a gun. Taking shots at white people in slow feet.
I don't remember that.
No, I was pissed. I was pissed
Yeah.
because I was like telling him like, hey, I'm a white guy, and he's like, whatever. Anyway,
He said
this was
he
10 years
could beat
ago.
Michael Jordan in one-on-one.
The guy's a lunatic.
Yeah. But
And then
I don't think
obviously
he's scared,
Larry, Larry Nance's dad played in the NBA. I don't think the spotlight's going to be too bright for either of these guys. How good are they? They're both kind of limited players. They're, it's not like they're multi-dimensional players. We're grasping at straws. I said this yesterday when we're looking at second-round picks to save the day, and G lost his mind.
That was by the way, I went back and rewatched that
Yeah.
whole segment. If you didn't, it's like 12 minutes. It's worth.
Okay.
Bull made a point that was perfectly reasonable, and G must have thought he heard something different and went on this whole diatribe for like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Giving examples.
Garrett heard something he thought he heard?
Examples of players.
That never happened before?
And then he makes a point that was completely parallel to what Bull said, and there was no intersection whatsoever. It was hysterical. I just wanted to mention it's worth re-listening because it was hysterical.
just think, we're looking for something to get us excited following the disappointment.
Yes.
And I think myself and some of the people, maybe we've gone too far. It felt over. It felt like to me when they lost that series, it's over, that this group can't win and that I've given up on them. And that's probably stupid and unfair because there have been times where a team has fallen on their face a number of years in the playoffs and bounced back and then eventually won a championship. Now, people have brought up the Celtics as an example because they stuck, but
they had a lot more success.
I don't think they had a lot more success. They went further in the playoffs, and each time when they finally won the championship, they had made significant changes to the roster, not to their top two players, but significant changes to the roster, and so. And their two best players are just different types of players as the Cavs' two best players, too. They don't have a small guy like Donovan Mitchell. They have a traditional wing player.
Two of them.
Two, right. And so even if you say, well, maybe Tatum and Brown aren't that much better than Mitchell and Mobley, they're different types of players. And so, to me, the only hope of them winning a championship is to make a significant move outside of those two guys, which they haven't done. You're down to tier 3 of the team is where you're making changes now. I thought you needed to make changes in tier 2. That's what Boston did. Mm-hmm. They made significant changes to their tier 2, and that eventually led to them winning a championship. And I don't know. I mean, where's the example of a team that's been this bad in the postseason for? I'll say 4 years in a row. It's 4, right? Or is it 3?
It's if you want to include the play-in. It's
well, why
4.
wouldn't you call? They made the playoffs and they fell on their face. It's been 3 years with Donovan.
Yeah, exactly.
3 years with Donovan.
I counted as 3.
So 3 years. And it's been, they haven't gotten past the second round. They haven't even been in a second round series.
Yep.
They were in 2 of them, but not when I say in, I mean
had
a real chance to win. It
wasn't frankly competitive.
Right. So
competitive enough.
What's the team that did not make a significant change to tier 1 or tier 2 and then won a championship after being a bust the first 3 years? Do we have an example?
3 years, I don't know. We did the OKC comparison in the past where their one move last year was swapping Giddey for Caruso, which was a tier 3 move.
Yeah.
And they ended up winning the championship this year, but they didn't have the same.
They had 1 year of busting in the playoffs.
1 year busting as the 1 seed, but they had lost in the playoffs in the first round 2 years in a row.
Right.
And then broke through. First round exit, upset in the second round as the 1 seed, then win the championship this year. And that's their one.
Right. They did it in year 3 for the Cavs.
Not the 3 year runway.
Right,
I don't know off the top of the head if there's 3. I do think though, gigantic if, Bull, and it's the health of Lonzo. Gigantic if, because once again he's played 70 games in 4 years. The good news is he missed those 2 full seasons with a left knee injury. The games he missed last year was a wrist injury. So the knee, he said, and when he talked to the media this week, the knee feels good. That's all cleared up. The wrist was a weird freak, landed weird last year. All clear. But the thing that kept him out for 2 full seasons, that is, according to all reports, healed up. He's going to be your you're not going to watch the regular season. So, Dustin, I'll talk to you.
Okay.
He's going to end up being your favorite Cav this year, I'm telling you.
You think so?
He plays a style of basketball that is fast, that is exciting. He's a pass-first, old-school kind of point guard. Bull, you know when you were asking earlier, would the Cavs be better with a traditional point guard? And you're like, should they trade for Chris Paul? And I was like, well, Chris Paul is 97 years old. That doesn't make sense. But the theory of a traditional point guard, that is what Lonzo Ball can bring to this team. And there's going to be a lineup. I'm not sure when Kenny's going to pull this out. But it's going to be Darius, Donovan, Lonzo, DeAndre Hunter, and Evan Mobley. And that lineup's going to be fun as hell. Will it work? I don't know yet. Maybe not. Like, it may be too small in the backcourt without enough front court size if Lonzo's your third biggest guy. But he's going to bring a different style, a different energy, and his passiveness, and I don't even mean that in a bad, look at some of these passages, absolute dots. But his passiveness is going to lead to Evan Mobley being more aggressive because he has to be. And the more I think about it, the more switching him for Ty Jerome, whether that was the right move or not, regardless, just that swap on the second unit, it's going to force Evan Mobley to become more aggressive and become more of that offensive, assertive guy the Cavs need him to be to win at the highest of levels.
If he's capable of it.
If he's capable of it, fair. But it's going to be force-fed into him. And if it doesn't happen this year, Bull,
this is it.
This is it. I will start to sell my Evan Mobley stock that I've been
hoarding. I don't even know that you need to sell the stock. I mean, even if he is what he is now, that's still a very good player.
I mean, sell it as
not enough. The player he is now is a very good player, but it's not enough to be. He's not good enough to be the best player on a championship team.
He's a 2 right now on a championship team.
Right.
He has to be a 1.
Well, we don't even know that. We don't even know if you could win with him as a 2.
Fair.
I mean, because, you know.
You can't win with him as a 2 right now because the Cavs only got past the second round.
I would really argue that he was their 3rd best player this past season. No?
Who was better?
Darius?
I mean,
they certainly go to him 3rd on offense.
Yeah, but that doesn't overall. I mean, Mobley was the DPOY.
Yeah.
But
is he really the best defensive player in the league?
No, Wemby is.
Yeah.
And Wemby will be every year until he retires.
Yeah.
Outside of Wemby, yeah, there are legitimate cases to be made.
He's a better defensive player than Lou Dort?
I'm trying to think of a football comparison.
Well, you have to compare because it's Defensive Player of the Year.
No, but that's what makes Jason's talked about that award being the hardest to vote on.
Yeah.
Because what a guard does versus what a big does, from a defensive standpoint, are totally different. As a big, and I could go back, and if you want, when I get back from it, I'll look it up. I'll find 20 examples of people driving into the lane, seeing Mobley there, and pivoting back out, as opposed to going up and trying to take a 2-foot layup over the contested arms of someone like a Jared Allen, even, for example, where they're not scared of Jared Allen blocking their shot, impacting their shot, not fouling. Evan had one of the lowest blocks to foul ratios in the entire NBA, which is an underrated. I mean, think of the guys that block a lot of shots but are also always Jaren Jackson Jr., for example, plays like 23 minutes a game. Why? Because he's always in foul trouble. Evan fouled out, I think, 1 game last year. He's fouled out like 4 in his entire career or something absurd like that, as opposed to Lou Dort, who's going chest-to-chest with Donovan and going chest-to-chest with Tyrese Halliburton and wrecking havoc from a backcourt standpoint when Evan does it more from a front court. So he won DPOY and Lou Dort finished 3rd, Bull. So in the minds of the voters.
Well, to me, that's meaningless. That's like when people say Kevin Stefanski's a good coach because he won Coach of the Year. It's the same thing. Like, is he really? Don't tell me he's the Defensive Player of the Year. Tell me, in your opinion, is he the best defensive player in the league?
I would have voted for him this year, yeah.
You would have?
I would have, yes.
Where is he in terms of block shots per game?
Absolutely no idea. But block shots and steals by themselves, I don't think are the greatest.
I'm looking for an answer because I have to believe that, and this is an insult to those who vote on the NBA Defensive Player of the Year. I apologize. No, I don't, because I believe this, so I'm not going to apologize for it. I don't think any serious research is done as to who should be the defensive player. Now, I don't know the answer.
I think that's way overstating it.
I bet you there's a lot of guys that just, the narrative is that Evan Mobley's Defensive Player of the Year or this guy's Defensive Player. So
no, but it was close this year. Like it wasn't a runaway.
Okay, Evan Mobley finished 6th in block shots, by the way.
Yeah, that's about.
How many games do you have to play to be eligible to win the award?
65.
All right, so So the guys with more blocks per game than him that played 65 games or more.
I'm trying to find the full ballot.
Miles Turner, Brooke Lopez, and Donovan Clingan. Are those guys? Is Miles Turner better than Evan Mobley defensively?
Not even close.
No.
How does he get so many block shots, by the way?
He's a big guy.
Hangs by the rim. Isn't asked to do as much.
So who do you think is the best? Was Lou Dort a good question?
Yeah, Lou Dort, I think, is the best perimeter defender in basketball right now.
Who affects winning more? Lou Dort for the Thunder, defensively, or Evan Mobley in the Cavs? This is not even an Evan Mobley stink.
I'm thinking.
I'm just wanting to know more. I want to learn here. Because I think what we do now with the NFL defensive, I think the NBA Defensive Player of the Year has become pretty much the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. We just give it to the guy with the most sacks. So we give it to the guy who's the big guy.
Mobley doesn't have the best stats, and that's why I think it even gives a little more credence. By the way, Defensive Player of the Year votes. First place votes.
Yeah.
Mobley got 35 this year.
Right.
Dyson Daniels of Atlanta, who finished second, had 25.
Yeah.
Draymond, who finished third, had 15. And
Should Draymond have even been there? Is that a fraudulent vote because he was talking about it?
I think that plays a role in it.
Yeah.
The second half of the season after they got Jimmy Butler, their defense completely changed.
Yeah.
Draymond and his ability to switch and his rim returns are awesome. Lou Dort, by the way, got 11 first-place votes, finished fourth in the All-NBA defensive voting. So, there's 100 first-place votes. Evan got 35 and 1. So it wasn't like it was a narrative, Evan's DPOY.
All right, fair enough. That's fair.
It was, in total points, it was 285 to 197 in the overall voting.
I guess, maybe I don't watch it close enough because I feel like I used to notice, and I guess, I was going to say that I don't notice the impact on defense from Evan Mobley like I did from great defensive players in the past. But I think the reason for that is because guys there's no battles at the rim anymore in terms of big guys. We don't really see that a lot.
He's not playing post-up defense in the same way.
I'm like, he can't play post-up defense, but
you're not going to watch the regular season, but you will watch the Summer League.
I absolutely will not watch a minute of Summer League.
But
how about that comeback by the Lakers last night?
In Summer League?
Yeah, I had it on randomly because I got home from a late tennis match at 11:30. They were down I want to say they were down 14 points or something with 5 to go, and they won.
Bronny playing in that?
He is.
No.
Oh, no, he's playing the Vegas one.
Dalton Connect had 25 points last night.
We'll sit down. We'll pick one game to watch next year, Bull.
Yeah.
And we'll watch Evan Mobley, specifically on the defensive end of the court. And I will point out certain situations where if it wasn't Evan, if you were to swap Evan with a league average defensive player, what I think the offensive player would do in that situation. Because to your point, he doesn't have that highlight reel of blocks each season like Wemby does where it comes from behind. But he's a really good big man guarding guards on the perimeter, which plays a big factor.
Yeah.
He doesn't get blown by a whole ton.
Right.
He's good at protecting the rim, and guys often drive in and pivot out because he's there in ways that there's not a traditional box score stat that says 4 guys drove in and then swooped out. He's in the right house spot a lot of times. That, once again, I think it's an impossible award to vote on because what Lou Dort does and what Evan Mobley does, they're really hard to compare. It's not necessarily apples to apples.
I think when you look at Evan Mobley's game, we've talked a lot about, he needs to be more aggressive. He needs to get the ball more. He needs to call for the ball more. I think there's the other part of his game that I think is not good enough is when he plays against the other top big guys, he doesn't he's not strong enough to battle those guys. I feel like
I feel like he is every time I see him with the ball in his hands or whatever, it's like get in the weight room, man. And yes, he's gotten stronger over the last couple of years, but I still feel like it's not good enough.
Well, he's got to put on 10 more pounds in muscle at least. Yeah,
he's too. I don't know.
He just turned 24,
sometimes.
so he's still.
Yeah,
getting there.
Listen, I get it. I'm being overly critical of Evan.
Bro, our eyes see what our eyes see. I look at a guy, he just looks a little unathletic sometimes. Even though he's a great athlete for his size, he just looks a little
But then sometimes he looks
wonky.
He looks like a gazelle.
You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
I think one thing he's got to work on, we did Ultimate Capture this morning. We talked about it, by the way. If you want to check it out, it's on our YouTube page. Evan improving his handle and tightening up his ability to take guys off the dribble is more important than almost any other facet of his game this summer. Like,
yeah, G talked about that yesterday.
He has to get better with his handle.
He looks like he's going to lose the ball all the time.
Yes.
And he does it a lot. Like,
yeah.
It works more often than not, but he really has to be able to be
right.
a pressure release valve for Donovan and Darius to initiate some more offense.
And that's tricky when you're that big. I mean, it's hard when you're that big to have a great handle.
And I go to Giannis, because he's not Giannis, but I'm going to –
yeah.
Giannis, when he came into the league skinny, was more fluid. As he got bigger, he became more powerful, but a little less, like, shifty in a way.
Yeah.
But because he became such a gigantic, chiseled out of marble, like, physical, imposing force, guys can't stay in front of him.
Yeah, and that's what Evan Mobley needs to do.
Evan will never be Giannis in that sense.
Well, why couldn't he?
Giannis came to America. I read his biography, so I'm being dead.
Yeah.
He came to America malnourished. And as soon as he started eating, he blew up.
Yeah, okay.
I just don't think Evan is not malnourished. Like, Giannis legitimately was malnourished when he came to America. And he put on like 40 pounds in a year the first time he ever ate enough food to actually like allow his body to replenish and build muscle. He could be stronger. He'll never be Giannis, but he can get stronger. And if he can get stronger, a lot of the other stuff that we have issues with Evan Mobley, I think will fall into place. And if he could use an improved dribble with a little more power to put his shoulder into defenders and put them on the defensive and allow him to be more reactionary to what they're doing to score easier, that's why I do believe the sky's the limit for a player like that. This year, it has to happen. And when Donovan, and we'll move on because I know we got this last thing to say. When Donovan's on that podcast, we talked about it Monday, saying, Evan, if we don't give you the ball, get on our ass. Like, we need you to take 20, 25 shots a game in certain nights. Like, that's the organization's top people telling Evan, like, it has to happen. We need you to do this. And if you have that runway to take that next step and you don't, then it's fair to say it's just not going to happen the way we thought it could.
Right.
So I got this year. Like, this year, it's all on Evan. Like, this whole Cavs season hinges on the shoulders of Evan Mobley.
All right, Anthony, what do you got for us?
I want to remind everybody that the Ultimate Cavs Show had a show this morning. Mike, you want to give us a little promo for this?
Yeah, we talked about Evan Mobley improving his handle, so if you want to erase what I just said for the last 30 seconds, you can rewatch me say it this morning. The Cavs also have the chance to extend Darius Garland this summer. Should they? Should they not? Me and Spencer Davies discussed it on the Ultimate Cavs Show this morning.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
P.S. They shouldn't.
Have you guys watched the new season yet of Quarterback?
No. I have not, because I'm saving it for the flight.
So it's funny. I was excited to watch it because Joe Burrow's in it this year. And I started it last night and just watched like the first 20 minutes. And as much as I love Joe Burrow, I found it depressing to watch because I know where it's headed. Because the Bengals didn't make the playoffs, and it wasn't he had a great season they had a great offense, and he had a great season individually. But I'm just finding the whole thing, I don't know. For whatever reason.
Well, it sucks to watch back like a documentary about something that affected you personally.
Right.
In a negative way. It's like,
you can't even disappointment.
Now, had the Bengals won the title, you'd have watched this and be like,
of course.
Hell yeah, this is so great. This is awesome. It sucks. The ending.
It's so funny because I was so excited about it, and then I'm like, I don't want to watch. Jared Goff is interesting. Kirk Cousins was on the first year. What do I need to know about Kirk Cousins right now?
But the question,
nice guy.
The question I asked for this, so they're following Burrow, Goff, and Cousins. Would you have rather them just and I know for next season, so season 3 of quarterback.
Yeah.
They already picked, I forget who they're doing, but they're following around 3 more quarterbacks.
Yeah.
What do you think would be more interesting, Dustin? Them following around 3 high-level, we did the quarterback tier 2, 3 kind of guys? Or if they followed the Browns quarterback room in 2024? Like just the Browns.
I mean, the answer, obviously, for us is the Browns quarterbacks because it's fascinating, the dynamic of that room. But I do think from like a national standpoint, it would create some buzz because
especially with Shador.
Shador is such a
look at who wouldn't watch that?
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Ant, great
nice
graphic.
trailer or promo there.
Yeah,
that's nice. It began yesterday.
I actually think in all of football, not just the Browns, not just the Cleveland, in all of football, the number one storyline right now being covered the most, that has the most random national interest, is what the hell's going on in that room. And it's because Shador Sanders has this aura and this draw that's unlike anything I've seen. And Bull, you and Dustin have been doing this longer.
This is crazy, though, because the Browns are probably going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL.
I know, but that has more interest to a just generic football audience.
Are you sure about that? Like, what are you basing that on? I don't watch any national sports shows anymore.
In the morning when I do cardio, they have Get Up On at the gym.
Yeah.
But you'd be amazed at how often they talk about Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
And
aren't they talking about the Cowboys all the time? And
I don't have the exact break. I don't have this segment.
There's no way those shows do any ratings.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not even saying they're good.
I'm with you. Since I've left the radio show, I don't watch any of those first take shows.
I never watch any of those shows anymore.
They're just on when I do cardio.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, you'd be amazed for a team like Cam Ward's. I haven't seen any Cam Ward.
I think this was just a vehicle for you to brag that you do cardio.
I mean, whatever.
Looking good, Mikey.
Sure.
Looking good, buddy.
Thanks. But like,
I saw you on Instagram with your shirt off. You got some abs.
we do all right.
You're doing all right, buddy.
But I do think this would be way more interesting than following 3 random quarterbacks who, to Bull's point, you know the outcome. We'll obviously know the outcome when this would come out next year. But what if you want to see some of the inner working and discussions of how Stefanski's handling reps, how they're dealing with the Shedeur sideshow?
I think most fans outside of Cleveland, unless they're Shedeur people, would not care at all.
And what do you think? Do you think people – he's not listening.
I'm so sorry. What's up?
Do you think people outside of Cleveland would be interested in the Browns quarterback Netflix special?
Yeah, of course. I mean, they have Browns backers clubs all over the place.
No, but those are Browns fans.
Yeah, but people just nationally
outside of Browns fans?
Yeah,
probably.
If you're not a Browns fan, why would you care?
Why do you care about Kirk Cousins, though?
I was going to say.
I don't.
That's my point.
I think it's a thing where people just like documentaries, right? Like, why do you care about Last Chance U?
Well, but
we haven't heard of any of those teams.
No. But the point is compared to Mike's saying compared to what
compared
they're doing
to
now.
the
I think Joe Burrow has more cachet amongst neutral fans than the Browns quarterback room. But then again, the Shedeur Sanders thing is such a big story.
I guess
I don't know how big a story it is because I'm not watching any national shows.
This year is such a mess in that quarterback room. People might want to see the train wreck.
People do like to see a disaster.
I kind of think this would have more national appeal than following 3 guys that you know.
I bet the show will do really well, though. People will watch it. I think I will go back and watch it. I just wasn't feeling it last night.
With the Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw some clips where the game they had 8 false starts or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I saw the little snippet from that when he and Zach.
I didn't see it.
Zach Taylor got into it. Do you remember we saw those clips on the sideline?
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I'm curious what you think of that part when you get to it. And thank you for reminding me I have to download it for my flight.
Yeah. I should watch it. Just I guess I could skip past the. And we've seen Jared Goff before because he was on Hard Knocks. Now has become unwatchable.
They did Jared Goff so dirty in that Hard Knocks. Do you remember that?
What did they
the one in L.A.?
Well, he was the
true.
number
He's been on there twice.
He was the number, L.A. when he was the number 1 overall pick with Jeff Fisher.
Yeah.
It was when they had the remote camp, right? They were not at their own facility. They were out in some other place.
I just remember them asking him, which way does the sun rise? And he got it wrong. From which east-west does the sun rise? And he got it wrong. They left it in there. And it was that's a tough look for your number 1.
Now nobody gets, looks bad at Hard
teams
Knocks.
Have final approval.
They clean it up too much now, but
the show has become so predictable and it's you see this exact same thing. Oh, you got to follow the walk-on kid or the undrafted guy.
Yeah.
And you got to see the cuts. We've seen the cuts.
The cuts, I have no interest in seeing that anymore. Yeah. It was interesting if you'd never been through it. The first couple times I saw it, and now it's just sad.
Honestly. Back in the day when Hard Knocks started, I think the first one was in 2000 with the Ravens, I believe. Brian Billick. Anyway, so it's been 25 years.
Yeah.
Dude, in 2000 when the show first began, we didn't have this.
Right, all the access
we couldn't watch 100,000 shows on Netflix. There's just too many things to watch now, and it was a really cool thing. It's like when Survivor came out. Reality television was this whole big thing. Well, now there's a million other shows.
Right.
So.
There was the year the Browns were on Hard Knocks, which was 2018?
Yeah.
With Baker. His rookie year?
That was good because Hugh Jackson looked.
Congratulations, you're the backup.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And Bob Wiley.
Bob Wiley was great that year, and then the whole thing where Hugh Jackson got defensive in the meeting room with the assistant coaches with Haley.
I'm driving the bus.
Yeah, it was it made him look terrible.
If they made the quarterback show for the Browns this year, right?
Yeah.
Just hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
You know how they always have the the media montages in and out of weeks and certain social media clips to set up.
Sure. Right, yeah.
Would G. Bush be on there so often that he got a paycheck from Netflix? Would they use his
I don't think
monologues
he'd get a paycheck,
so often that they'd have to pay him?
No, but he would get on there. He would. But no, I don't think he's getting a paycheck, no.
Would they use more UCSS clips than any other Cleveland outlet?
I don't know how they decide on that stuff. I mean, we would have a lot of clips for them. What'd you say, Anthony?
I said if they're smart.
If they're smart, yeah, that's true. I don't know.
We've been in a couple national things before.
Yeah.
They used us on Fox for Joe Flacco's first start. The Cavs have used us a couple times.
I saw this video recently. It had millions of views.
And you were in it, yeah.
And I'm not in it. You don't see me.
Your voice, though.
And the video starts with my voice, and it's about Larry Bird. We were interviewing, I don't remember who it was even. And I asked him for a good Larry Bird trash talk story. And that video starts with me asking that question, and then he tells the story, and it's a bunch of stories of other NBA players telling Larry Bird trash talk stories. And it's got millions of views, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool.
Was it Kareem?
No, it
was here.
Oh, it was on this show.
It was
It must have been a
Terrell
noticeable
Brandon?
player. I don't know. I can't remember who the hell it was.
It was one of the old Cavs we've had.
I don't know.
Mark Price?
Maybe it's Mark Price. We had Mark Price on.
I don't think it was Mark
Craig
Price,
Elo?
though.
Never had Craig Elo.
No. It wasn't a white guy. I feel like it was not a white guy.
In that same vein, when Jameis made his first start for the Browns last year,
Yeah.
they did a little montage on the Fox or CBS pregame show,
Right.
and I was not paying attention to it. I was just doing my pregame work.
Yeah.
And I heard my voice, and I was like,
Yeah.
what?
That's funny.
I rewound, and it was a clip from UCSS and me
Yeah.
doing an intro to a topic before we dove in. I was like, oh, that's kind of
Yeah.
cool. They don't tell you they're going to use it.
No. They just take it.
They just use it,
Did they even give you credit, or they put something on the screen?
They didn't for that one because it was just my voice. It wasn't like
That sucks.
clip
They
from the
should do
show.
that.
But they did when they did the Joe Flacco one, and it
Yeah.
was from UCSS. They did
Yeah.
credit UCSS.
They should do credit us anyway, or that's lame. We'd credit them, but whatever. All right, let's get to super chats, Anthony.
All right, our first one comes from DLD Johnson. Would you guys like to see the guards get it, or who would you like to see the guards get at the trade deadline, or the offseason signing? Love the show, guys.
Shohei Ohtani. For $2 million a year, Bull, they can afford that.
Yeah. I've been still thinking about who they're going to trade. I haven't even really thought that much about who they're going to get. I mean, there are some interesting guys.
I like Taylor Ward.
No, but that's not a trade they're going to make. They're not going to add players.
Well, she asked, who do you want them to get?
Well, I'm thinking of young players that they're going to trade guys to get.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
They're trading veterans to get young players. I like all the guys I would name would be prospects that most people never heard of, but I do think that's the right move. I think the Guardians have to be smart here, and I don't care what happens this week. And I would dangle Clase out there. I dangle Bieber out there, and I trade Bieber no matter what. And I would trade Clase if I got blown away with something, and maybe you do.
Give me one major league name, though. If they were to add an MLB caliber bat.
I mean, the Angels have a better record than they do, so you'd have to be a bad team.
That's a good point.
I guess the Rockies, there's nobody.
Marcell Ozuna. Play DHs, so it doesn't.
I'll say
really fit
Sean
the-
Murphy from Atlanta, but I know they're not going to get his contract. Ozuna's is he going to last year of his contract?
Yeah.
I mean, he'd be a great addition. The problem with Ozuna is he's really a DH.
He's only played 2 games in the field in the last 2
Yeah,
years.
I mean, he can't play the field, but. So
Also, I had one other question based on
I guess you could
that.
DH him and put Manzardo at first.
And don't call up Kafis unless he plays right field.
Or play him in the outfield.
And I got one more baseball question. Hold on before you go
Yeah.
to the next one. I meant
Okay.
to ask this earlier. I saw on Twitter that in the last 260 at-bats for Guardians first baseman,
Yeah.
Manzardo only has like 90 of them.
Well, he's put a lot of DH.
Oh, maybe that's why it's so
Yeah,
low.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
never mind.
yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. That
Now,
makes
he
more
hasn't
sense.
played enough, period.
Well, I
but
was going to ask.
a lot of
like,
those at-bats are
okay,
at DH. Yeah.
That makes more sense. I was
Yeah.
like, there's no way am I missing something that he's taking
Yeah.
so few of those at-bats at
No.
first base, but that makes sense. Okay.
By the way, shout out to Hayden Grove, who sang the national anthem yesterday.
Oh, yeah, who won the championships?
So Dairy Queen won the Majors
I hate
championship.
Dairy Queen.
You don't know any of the kids.
I like some of the kids. I just don't like
Congratulations to them. Actually, there's 2 kids on that team that are very close friends with Aaron.
How can you hate Dairy Queen?
I was just kidding.
He's kidding.
Was that the 1 seed?
They were not the 1 seed. The 1 seed got eliminated. They were the
They had to be
3.
They had to be the 3.
Yeah,
Damn.
they were the 3 seed.
What could have been, Bull?
What could have been, right? They did a good job, though. They won yesterday. The final was 14-9.
High scoring.
And then on the minors side, it was I don't know. Michael O'Shea. Michael O'Shea was the name of the team. Go ahead.
Next one comes from Will Plavin.
Yeah.
The intentional balk on Altuve was hilarious. He was at second base. They balked him so that they couldn't relay signs. The broadcast zoomed in on Vogt and waved and laughed at Altuve as he was jogging to third.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Hamilton is the first time they've intentionally balked to get someone off second since 2005.
It's a bizarre thing. That's a unique circumstance. All right, next.
Next one's from Charo Cotton. Graham has the benefit of having Myles Garrett on the edge. I think overall he'll have a great first season, and I just didn't hear you guys mention that.
We did mention that. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got a chance to be really good. He better be really good.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he's really good. He got drafted 5th overall.
Next one comes from Sly. He said, if only we kept our pick and drafted Dexter Lawrence next to Myles.
Yeah, that'd be filthy.
That would have been.
Number 1 defensive tackle, number 1 defensive end,
Yeah.
according to these ESPN surveys.
Mike from Topo42. Roll all your vacation clothes. Big space saver.
I am a roller. That is a packing.
Especially, like, I mean, you don't want to roll nice shirts.
I won't.
But outside of that,
I won't roll the
everything.
suit. I'll roll all the shorts and T-shirts and stuff that I bring.
Underwear, socks,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Stuff them in shoes too.
Yeah.
Sly also gifted 5 memberships.
Nice.
Shout out
Next
Sly.
one comes
Thank
from Mike Common. Bull's unpreparedness is out of pocket, which is kind of a crazy take.
My unpreparedness?
That is what he said.
What was I unprepared? Oh, you mean not being ready to talk about the topics? You know, in fairness, I'm used to Mike leading the topic so I got a minute to look at my phone. And we didn't do it that way, so I did drop the ball. I assume that's what he's talking about. There were a couple times I wasn't ready to start the topic because I couldn't remember what we were doing because I'm not used to having to remember anymore.
And usually I just
bad job out of me.
Yeah.
I usually let
It's
you do
fine.
it, Bull.
Ultimately, it's not a bad job out of you. It's my fault. I should be prepared, so I will take the full blame on that. Go ahead.
And then DLD Johnson. Dustin, are you into tennis?
Yes.
All right. Is it pig's ass pork?
Yeah. Is that like a
I can't read sarcasm in the text. But
Yeah, there's no sarcasm font out there.
2 things real quick. No overtime today because we have to test audio equipment for the remote show on Monday, which is 10:30 to 12:30 on Monday, not 11 to 1. And
Nice.
second off, because there's no overtime, we have 2 minutes to do this.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the golf fight?
the what?
The fight on the
I was
golf
going to bring it
course?
up. I was going to bring it up to you
Yeah.
guys
No.
because it is
We were going to do it for
an
overtime.
all-timer.
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 This
Dude.
is like professional golfers?
No, this
No.
was okay. There are fights on the golf course that happen all the time. They're
Yeah.
viral videos.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was an all-timer. There is these guys. They're I don't know where they were
It's in
playing.
tag board. Yeah, here it is.
So there's the video.
Yeah.
This guy right here.
belligerently.
Is this bleeped out or no?
There's no sound, so you're good.
Oh, the sound's the best part.
Yeah,
So
but it's too- I think he
a-hole-
plays the
The
song.
guy was playing too slow.
This guy was playing so
I
slow.
saw the beginning of this, but I didn't see the whole thing.
So they're a bunch of drunk assholes, and they are playing slow. And the guys behind them.
Do you know who the guys behind him are?
The one is an NHL guy.
Former NHL goon, by
A
the
goon.
way.
A goon. A big dude.
Yeah.
And so this guy starts talking shit to the goon, and he attacks him. This guy, this guy.
Just keep watching.
Just watch.
And by the way, as the guy who throws the punches, which you'll see in a sec,
He adds in the sound.
he says bang every time he lays a haymaker
Watch
in
this.
this guy's face.
He pushes the
the
NHL
big guy first.
and the big guy goes. Take that,
Push him into the lake.
In the lake.
Into the lake. So that should be the end of it. Like that should be the end of it. But
Was
no,
the big guy the one complaining that those guys were moving too slow?
because they were belligerently drunk. There's a video that you can
Who
see
was
before.
belligerently drunk? The slow guys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that guy was
the guy that just got out of the lake.
the guy getting punched.
Oh, yeah. He had no business. This guy's way bigger than him. Oh! He shoves that guy.
Wait, just wait. Wait till this.
Bang!
Watch the hip toss.
Bang!
Here comes the hip toss.
Bang!
He comes back for more, and he throws him like a rag
Oh, it's
doll.
incredible.
So this guy's drunk.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
God,
Look at
you
him.
can tell. Yeah.
Watch
yeah.
him get thrown right here. Watch how far he goes. Get out of here!
So the hockey players, they were like, you guys you can't even stand on the tee box.
Yeah.
We're waiting for 23 minutes for you guys to tee
off.
off.
So they had the right to be
pissed. They are 100% in the right.
They were just telling them to go home. They're like, you're drunk, get out of here.
Like, get out of here.
It wasn't like they were rushing.
They weren't looking for a fight, dude.
They were not looking for a fight. All right.
Oh, my God.
We will see you tomorrow.
See you
I won't.
tomorrow. The McMahon's Morning.
Peace.